appreciate it if you would stop Rob Taylor from blathering on and on.
Opinions expressed by the talk show hosts, callers, or guests on the Rob Taylor Report do not necessarily represent the opinions of the hosting platform, subsidiaries, sponsors, or possibly anyone else on the planet or the known universe. From the tinfoil and lead-lined broadcast bunker on the beautiful south coast of Oregon, it's the Rob Taylor Report. So strap yourself in. Your political therapy session is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Hello, Oregon. Hello, America and beyond. And I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight. We've got a very entertaining show. I might have some special guests. Don't know, but I know that we're supposed to have Ben Edel on for a few minutes, and he's eating with his lovely wife. And I hate to take him away from his family because he's a very busy man, but he might be joining us. And also Todd Vaughn might be joining us at some point in time, but that's okay. I've got a great crew in tonight. I've got some really good people showing up. I have the very lovely Samantha Frost joining us. Hi, Samantha.
Hi. How are you guys?
Hey, Chris.
Oh, Chris. Hi.
Hey, Rob and Sam. How's it going?
Hi.
And Marty.
Hey,
Hey. Hello.
we're ready to go.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, it was funny today. I was really starting to panic because it was about 2:00 and I still couldn't get anyone on the show. And I was like, oh my God, I got to get somebody. And so thank you all for lining up. So I've got videos that we're going to be playing down the line. But before we get to them, have you guys been watching the legislature? Any of you?
In Oregon or?
In Oregon, yeah.
No, not today.
Not today. Okay. Marty, you said you were watching, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. No, I was watching a little bit of Oregon today. I was watching a little bit at the national level today, and I'm just like going, you know, these people aren't being elected because of their acute smarts and their good looks and the ability to put together a useful argument on the floor. So how did they get there? It's sort of like a turtle on top of a fence post. You look at it and you go, it's there, but how did it get there?
Yeah.
I think you know, Marty.
I know.
Chris, I wouldn't want you watching the legislature because you're so busy in other places. I don't want you distracted by that because, you'd be up there filming them, harassing them, which would be beautiful. But damn, we really need you down here. So I'm almost glad you weren't watching the legislature because talk about watching the sausage get made. Wow. These people, they made the sausage and then they blew the sausage. Okay. It was horrible.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
So are they going against our constitutional rights again? Is that
Well,
what?
yes.
Oh,
Yes. They passed the bad gun bill. I don't know if you guys heard about SB 243.
I'm sure Virgil talked about race the whole entire time, didn't he? Or was it a House or Senate decision?
It was the Senate. It was in the
okay.
No, it was in the House. It was in the House. It was a Senate bill, so it would end up in the House.
So Virgil talked about race, huh?
No, not really.
Oh, he didn't. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't anything memorable. It wasn't anything exciting. And in fact, I didn't even get any of the video of it put for the TV show because it just wasn't. I don't know. I am so upset that Ben Edel and Todd Vaughn lost their races, or did they? But I'm so sad that they're not there because it would have been a different legislator. You would have two bomb throwers right there in the middle of the House, in the middle of the Senate, just giving them hell and doing it in a way that, well, they may consider it disrespectful. I call it a necessary aggressiveness. So I don't know.
Right. No, it needs to happen. We actually, so the only purpose, and I know you've heard me say this before, the only purpose of our government is to ensure our God-given rights or secure it, that's enumerated in our constitution. So they call themselves lawmakers, but their purpose is not to make law. That's not their purpose.
Right.
We actually give them the power to create laws, but that's not their purpose in this whole thing.
No, it really isn't. No, what you just said is that I have to correct people all the time. And in fact, the last person I had to correct was the sheriff and the DA of Coos County during public comment after they were talking about the immigration resolution that our commissioner was trying to pass. And they kept talking about how it was their job to keep us safe, keep us safe, keep us safe. And I went there on public comment and I said, look, you're mistaken. I have to correct you. Your jobs are not to keep me safe, especially not safe from myself. Your job is to protect my rights, and having us or the government stop them from violating my rights, not to keep me safe, but to protect my rights. And there's a huge difference in those two statements.
Bingo. Yep. You're absolutely right.
Chris would understand this. Chris is totally in tune with this.
I don't get it. They're trying to. The only reason I know about the gun thing is because of Ben. I got an alert on my phone from Twitter that Ben had posted about the magazine limit. I guess they just imposed. So, but doesn't change anything for me.
Nope.
Shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. And if you want to make me a felon because of that, or try and arrest me and do things to me that you think are gonna just get swept under the rug, and I'm not going to react to, like, go for it,
Right.
Make my day. So
it's our duty to not comply.
It is our duty not to comply.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not complying on several federal gun laws right now, right here, and I make no excuses about it. Like Chris said, you want to come and get me? Go ahead and get me. There are a lot of people that are waiting to be had because we're not going to take the shit anymore.
Well, on the left cheers the whole like marijuana stuff, right? They're like, oh, we can just disregard laws in terms of marijuana and other things, but when it comes to guns, apparently, like, it doesn't matter. I don't know, but
the hypocrisy of it all. What, hypocrites? Never. No, I mean,
never.
It's the whole Marbury versus Madison thing, where if it's unconstitutional, then it can't be enforced, but. There's also the aspect of it, one of the things I was taught, and actually, oddly enough, when I was going to high school in Bandon, we had a civil disobedience discussion, and explaining how civil disobedience works. And the whole point is if everybody agrees to not do something, then there's really not much. They can't arrest all of us. And so the teacher said, okay, everybody has to write a 200-word essay about civil disobedience. And after the teacher left the room, I'm going, well, here we go. Here's the perfect way to, one, get out of writing a paper, and two, prove that we know what civil disobedience is all about. Nobody write the paper. Absolutely nobody write the paper. If nobody writes the paper, then she can't fail all of us. And we've proven that we learned the civil disobedience thing. And the thing is out of a class of 40 people, 39 people didn't write a paper. One did. And it's like, well, there you go.
So what happened? Did she fail everybody or no?
Yeah, what happened?
No, she actually said, okay, yeah, you kind of got the point. The point was, is if everybody, one, you got to get everybody's buy-in, or at least you have to get a majority. And two, it's like, yeah, so you got the point of what civil disobedience is about. So I'm not going to fail you because, you did get the point. So,
good.
Well, Chris made a valid point about liberals and marijuana and conservatives with guns. And conservatives, and you know, when I was a libertarian, this was the fight I always had with both of them. I would go to the Democrat meeting and all they wanted to do was take away our guns. I'd go to the Republican meeting and they wanted to stop us from smoking pot. And it was like, damn, I just want to own guns and smoke pot and be left alone, okay? And so, you know, and even right now, by the way, we encourage, you know, drinking and cussing on the show. I'm drinking some Mary Jones. But the thing is that
not only are you drinking, but you're drinking marijuana infused drink. So you're drinking drinking and marijuana-ing, if that's a thing.
Is it alcohol and weed, or
it's just
CBD?
It's just alcohol.
Grape soda.
It's THC. I don't think it has any CBDs. No, it's just THC. But the thing is it just ticks me off when you have two different groups arguing the same argument over an inanimate object that, unless somebody used it improperly, wouldn't do anything. And our argument on the libertarian side is just get the government out of it, let people do what they do, and unless they violate someone else's rights, leave them the hell alone.
True. That limited government. You just described limited government, and that's what we all want. We want limited government. In fact, to be honest, we are acting as the government. Look at what Michaela's doing in vote by mail. You know, a friend of mine called me the other day, and she says, do you hear what Michaela's doing? And I said, oh yeah, the vote by mail. And I was like, isn't it wonderful? She goes, who gave her the right to take over our elections? And I was like, excuse me? This is we the people. You like, but who gave her that right? And I said, we did. We, the people, are actually taking action and filing the petition to, I mean, this is the same as it's our First Amendment right of filing grievances with the government, and we're changing the government at the same time. If you read Article 1, Section 1 of the Oregon State Constitution, we can actually amend our government anytime, abolish it, we can
anytime
change it anytime. And that's what we are trying to do. So we are constitutional. We are the government. In fact, while Michaela and Ben Edel and Marty, were you there at the Judicial Watch?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Marty, while all of us were at the Judicial Watch court case conducting professional business, because we were there in support of our federal government and judicial.
Wait a minute, Marty wasn't there.
No. I thought she was talking about am I involved with NVBM? And yes, I am the data guy.
Okay,
I am the data guy.
Samantha.
I am the computer guy.
Okay.
I did not go to Salem to stand out for Judicial Watch and the clean up the voter rolls thing that they're doing. No, I wasn't there.
Okay.
I am involved in NVBM, but I'm not there for Judicial Watch because Rob and I were going to go, and then we said, get up at 4:00 in the morning to drive to Eugene? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it would have been
Salem.
crazy.
Either way, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. But while we were there in Eugene conducting professional business, guess what was going on in Salem?
They were
the whole
Constitution.
It was the what are they called? The dancers, the black.
Oh, that's right. It was the It was.
I forgot what they're called.
The gay transvestites.
That's right.
What are they called? The cross dressers. The
trannies. The trannies.
The
queens. The drag queens. That's what it was. It was the drag queens.
There we go.
And they had the bright gold outfit. And they were dancing to a song, and I played the cut of the video on my show. It was either last week or the week before, whenever it happened. And YouTube muted my video because of that damn part had the song from, I think was it Diana Ross? I forget who the singer was, but they were lip syncing to a really a famous song. So YouTube kicked it out because of copyright laws. It was funny. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was like, damn trannies. Damn them.
Yeah,
damn those trannies. They're so sneaky.
You know what song it was? Was it It's Raining Men? Hallelujah.
Was it?
I don't
You would think that with the Weather Girls, It's Raining Men. Hallelujah. It's raining men.
To be honest, as a performer, I don't know if you guys knew this, but I was a dancer long before I got into this big car accident in 2018, and I'm building a dance studio, and I'm a performer. That's in my soul. It's in me. And to be honest, I probably would have paid to go watch something like this, not with children or anything.
Right.
No.
But I probably would have paid to go watch it elsewhere or what, because I would have been jiving or grooving and smiling or whatever. But you want to bring them there in the Capitol. That's our house. We pay for that. We pay we pay our money, our hard-earned money for you to conduct business at that location. How dare you? How dare you be partying it up in Salem while we are conducting actual real business in Eugene? I'm sorry. How dare you?
Samantha, have you ever gone out with the representatives or the senators during session when they go out after session and go partying? There were a couple of times years ago that I had done that. And let me tell you, those guys party hardy in Salem. Okay. So don't let anyone act like they're up there working really hard. Their fingers are whittled to the bone. Oh, no. They're up there, getting their glitter on. Yeah. It's happening in Salem.
Yeah. And there is a distinction to be made from, I've watched transvestites. I've watched drag queens, perform. And it's fine. It's entertainment, not for kids, and certainly not to open a session at the people's house. I mean, if you want to get your freak on and do that, or you want to watch that, I'm fine with that. I don't care about that. But when you say we're opening a session with this, and we're not only talking about, it's Pride Month, and now it's Black Drag Pride Day. I'm like, wow, you are essentially alienating 99.5% of your audience because, I mean, how many black drag queens are there in Oregon? And now they're putting this in front of everybody and saying this is what your representatives are most concerned about. Not the crushing taxes, not the, how much they hate business or how much they hate the Constitution or whatever. It's like, no, we gotta celebrate black drag guys, and I'm like,
and where does
don't you have something better to do? I mean, come on.
And where does it stop? What's the limit? Like if you have black drag queens in the Capitol performing, where does it stop? Does it stop at booty shaking, to half naked pole dancing? Maybe I don't know. Where does it stop?
What would stop one of them bringing in a troupe of Chippendales? Okay, we'll have the Chippendales dancer because we're recognizing whatever month for Chippendale month. And so we're going to have the Chippendales because they've added so much to Oregon history,
Actually, you know what? I will tell you, pole dancing used as an erotic dance actually started in Springfield.
Wow.
Yes.
No kidding.
I know this
Wow.
because
because she started it.
Yeah, you were there.
That was started back in the 70s, I believe. So, but Springfield. So, but I don't condone. I do not condone it going to the Capitol so that they can cherish.
Chris, I've been going to pole dancing, or I've seen pole dancing going back 40. Oh my God, I'm old. 40 years.
How
Jeez.
old are we now? Yeah.
How old are we now, man?
I'm not even 40 yet.
I know. That's
Jeez.
sad. That's sad.
It is
So
great
far
exercise, I will
so
tell
far
you.
this evening, we've determined that Samantha was the start of pole dancing and is also a black drag queen. So, wow. So many things we learned tonight.
We don't need any of your DEI because we got it all in one package.
We got it all in one location. We got everything here.
So getting back to SB 243, which they just passed, and the Senate could have stopped, and they didn't stop, probably because they were too busy watching the drag queens, but they didn't walk out. Kim Thatcher didn't show up, but of course, the leadership, which is Bonham and David Brock Smith, they would never have walked. And of course, that's why people like Diane Linthicum and Robinson didn't walk, because it wouldn't have mattered, because David and Bonham staying there allowed the Democrats a quorum. So the only one who really left was Thatcher, and the Republicans stayed. But I guarantee you, Robinson would have walked, Linthicum would have walked, several of them would have walked if DBS and Bonham would have grew a set and walked the hell out of the building.
Well, first off, we got to ask, can David Brock Smith walk? Because he is getting more and more portly every time we see him. But, I mean, we know where he stands, and we know where he doesn't walk. And the fact that he didn't walk or didn't even think about it, speaks volumes. I mean, we are talking about somebody that not only has the girth and size of a rhino, but he's acting like a rhino 24/7. So,
well, Marty, just to get things clear, rumor has it that allegedly David Brock Smith's meth dealer is no longer in business. So I just putting that out there. Allegedly, rumor has it. That's the rumor mill, but I don't know. They say he really likes his drugs in Port Orford. He has had a few DUIs, so we know it's not to be unfathomable that he's doing other stuff. But that's allegedly.
But
rumor has it.
I keep forgetting to put in those things like allegedly and rumor has it. But
Yes.
So
you're a much better professional at this than I am.
I'm not going to say who it is, because everyone here in Coos County knows exactly who I'm talking about. Chris probably knows exactly who I'm talking about. Chris, you got an idea?
Abandoned wildlife safari.
Yep, you got it. Allegedly.
My next door neighbors. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping.
If you know, you know.
Yeah,
if you know, you know.
I was hoping to get a discount leopard out of that whole deal when the wild animal safari went out of business and they left all the animals behind after everybody got busted and hauled away. I was like, well, they still have lions and leopards and stuff. I'm like, can I just go over and like say, oh, this poor thing, I'm just going to take him home and take care of him. Have my own little personal leopard. That'd be so cool. There
was a cheetah in the freezer, you guys.
Yeah, it was sad. It was very sad. When I feel bad because we had debated, me and my wife had gone there with our granddaughter, and we debated about reporting them because the lions looked so malnourished. The bear looked like he was having a breakdown. I mean, he was just circling and circling and circling. It just wasn't a good place for these animals, and they just didn't seem to be treated very well. And I know that these places, because they're small, in captured places, that they do have problems, but those lions look bad, man. And I feel bad that I'm a little ashamed of myself that I didn't speak up about it sooner.
And when I went there, I think my last time was about 3-4 years ago, maybe. And I didn't even notice anything. I love animals. And I enjoy them. And so I didn't really even notice anything. And now that you mention it, I'm just like, should I have been noticing this kind of stuff? So,
well, you don't think about that because you're there with your grandkids and your family, and you're like walking through, you're having a good time. But we'd been there a couple of times that year, and we've gone almost every other year for the last 3 or 4 years. And 3 years ago, I don't remember it either, Samantha. That's the strange thing. I don't remember them being as bad off as they were either. But boy, that last time I went, I mean, we were really concerned. It was something, and we were debating, well, should we go back? Because if we don't go back, they won't have money to feed the animals. But if we go back, we're encouraging the abuse. What the hell do we do?
Yeah. Huh.
Well, so when they got into trouble, what was it, last year? I mean, when they had somebody broke into the safe and stole all their guns and stole all their drugs, and then they suspected it was an employee, so they went to the employee's mom's house, and then it's turned into like a raging gun battle. At that point, there should have been like a tip-off that something's not kosher there, but...
That was the
last year?
Yeah, I think Chris could speak to that a little bit.
I don't know anything.
Okay,
but
Chris
people knew stuff for a while. This was years in the making.
Yeah. Okay,
for sure.
Yeah. So because we have to deal with certain people to get things done. Not everything we should have to reveal to the public, but let you know we're working on the right things. We're going on the right path, and that takes me now Still in the legislature. Sorry. I mean, I'm disgusted by this. I'm sorry, wrong bill. Damn. Here, this one right here. This is that's still the wrong bill.
Bill's comment.
Okay.
There's so many bills to choose from.
There's so many bills to choose
how do you
from.
know?
Okay, that bill that I'm showing you there, that was also the bill that was for the Elliott Forest. That was the one that was pushed by David Brocksmith. Again, he voted for this nonsense. It was a Tobias Reed. The governor wanted this, and it was a bad bill. This was one of the first of many bills that passed just about a month ago, I think it was. And I don't even know all the legislation. This one here is let's see. This one has to do with the estate tax. This is SB 485. This is the one that it was funny. It was Mannix and Harbrick. Let's see, Meek is also a Democrat. They all supported this, which is strange because they all worked together to pass this bill. And this was actually a good one here. This one here, they were able to stop a lot of the tax that they put on people inheriting farms and ranches and other property and stuff, because you're land rich, but you're cash poor. And they tax the hell out of you. And then you have to sell your land. And that's how people are starting to, as generations go on, you're starting to lose that generational wealth. And that's not a good thing, because usually families are the ones who carry on a tradition of being farmers and ranchers. So this was actually a good bill. So I wanted to give them credit for at least doing something right. And so this one here helps get rid of. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say, wasn't Meek the one that was opposed to the big honkin' tax bill, and then wasn't he the one that got basically booted, and then Wagner took over his? Yeah, okay. So it seems like Meek, even though he's a Democrat, seems to be trying to do the right thing. So,
well, isn't he the whistleblower as well?
Yeah. I think,
if I go back to, I believe, yeah. You want to know what he said in a post?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Go for it.
He says you could walk out tomorrow and kill this transportation bill for good, but you won't, because you cut a deal. And he sent it to Oregon House GOP, Oregon Senate. Wait, hold on. I don't know why this is. Oh, Oregon Senate GOP and Oregon POL. I don't know what that is. And Oregon LEG. I don't know what that is. Oh, Oregon legislation.
Yeah.
Politics. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. And he's right. They were making deals in the back room, is from what I was hearing from some of my sources. And it's the worst kind of thing when, you remember the fire mapping bill?
Mm-hmm.
To get that out of committee, they had to make some deals on that fire mapping deal. And that crossovered, I believe, to this transportation bill, because they were cutting deals on one and now trying to cut the deals on another. And you can't trust the Democrats. I don't even know why the Republicans deal with them, because they'll get the vote they want and then they'll screw them later in the session. And I think that may be what's happening. And so House Bill 2025, the bill that Meek walked out on, that's the bill that's on the screen right now. That bill is in committee. It's locked in committee in the House, but the governor's trying to get it out, and there's still a chance it may get out of that committee on Monday, at the latest Tuesday. And we could see that transportation tax bill pass.
That's odd, because I saw a number of people online on X were saying, okay, 2025 is dead. Yay, hey, it's dead. And I'm like, but that was one or two people. And I'm like, okay, dead in what way? Because, the circus ain't over until the last clown sings. So, they said, oh, they can't get the votes. And I'm like, well, that could change.
Well, I don't know if that was true, because in a speech on the House just a couple of days earlier, they were talking about another bill, and the representatives, the Democrat representative, I forget her name, she was talking about how she was definitely going to support the transportation bill, and that they were sure it was going to pass with or without the Republican help. So, yeah, very, very bad thing. I don't know. I don't know if it's dead or not. I think it's something that can come back because it's in committee, and they can still push it over to the Senate at any point in time.
Okay, I have a post here from Oregon House Republicans, and it says, "We did it. HB 2025 is dead.
It is dead.
We want to thank the thousands of Oregonians who showed up to their capital, testified, emailed, left voicemails, and submitted testimony. HB 2025 had an $11.7 billion price tag, one of the largest tax hikes in Oregon history. While our work represents a major victory for the working class, low-income, and rural communities, House Republicans will continue to listen and to fight on behalf of Oregonians against any future taxes that raise the cost of living. We welcome House Democrats to join us." So,
what time did that come out?
That came out. Let's see. They actually have for immediate release Friday, June 27th, 2025, and it was posted at 6:30 tonight.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. See, they didn't know it was dead until, and like I said, I think that was the wheeling and dealing that was going on.
Yeah, and
very good thing then.
So I'm gonna. Can I read part of the Fifth Amendment, and how this is actually unconstitutional?
Sure, go for it.
So at the very end of the Fifth Amendment, it says, "Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." Lloyd Brunson, in his little constitutional book, he talks about how the Fifth Amendment talks about your property being your money. And therefore, taxes without just compensation is unconstitutional. So any tax increase like that without just compensation, because we don't have, I mean, if they're just talking about increasing taxes here, there, here, there, the gas tax, blah, 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 we're just gonna rape you, okay, without just compensation. Like, you're not getting compensated for any of this. What are we getting compensated? If anybody knows, please speak up. But, you know, how is any of that being taken from us, compensating us in any way, shape, or form?
Well, yeah, I can talk in many different ways that it's not only not compensating us, but it's actually harming us in many different ways, especially the ones that are mutilating children. That's not any kind of compensation I would be for, and certainly not the ones that give money to private corporations. How does that compensate me? Very strange.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's good to hear that it's dead. I'm glad to hear that. Unfortunately, so many other bad bills. Did you hear about the bill? And I couldn't find the number on it. The one that allows, it forces the state to pay unemployment to striking workers.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to have all. And by the way, the state of Oregon is the third largest employer in the state.
Yeah.
And so anybody that's in a union or works for the state and they go on strike, they can get unemployment benefits immediately if you just go on strike. So basically what they're doing is they're now paying for protesters to go on strike. So you can bet the SEIU will now no longer do any actual work. They'll just be professional protesters because they're going to get paid.
Yeah.
When they're on strike. So they'll just go on strike saying, "We don't think this is fair. We're on strike and we're getting paid, and now we get to hold signs."
SEIU electricians, and what else is SEIU? There's several things in SEIU.
Well, it's the service industry. Internet. Yeah, so it's like hotel. It basically, it's kind of a blanket union for everything. It used to be just hotel workers, but now it's like, you know, when I lived in Oakland, SEIU was instrumental in allowing BART to go on strike.
Yeah. The United Poll Workers. Remember the United Poll Workers? I think they're part of that.
Yeah, I think Sam was talking about poll workers earlier. That started in Springfield. So
That's what I'm talking
there you
about.
go.
United Poll Workers, yes.
United poll workers.
But this is ridiculous. We got people on strike right now. It seems to me like we're encouraging them to remain on strike, because if you're getting paid, why the hell would you take any other offers? No, that ain't good enough. I want 20,000 a year more. You know what I mean? It's like, what?
Yeah.
We've just given them a complete negotiating win in almost every situation.
How is that benefit? Does this benefit companies?
I don't know how.
It benefits the parties that get a lot of kickback money from the unions. I can guarantee you that much.
Oh yeah, and the politicians as well. They will
Yeah.
get theirs too. It will go into a nonprofit that will then give it to a PAC that the politicians have. You'll never be able to trace it. I mean, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's going to be
So-
impossible.
Does this mean that employers will be hiring less individuals?
Yeah, because then there's the rule they can't unionize in certain businesses if it's under a certain amount of employees. So it encourages businesses not to expand. Isn't that great? Kind of like the tax code. Everything's
only
set up to
that-
screw you.
Yeah, not only that, but they also added a sort of a caveat that any business that the state of Oregon does can only be done with union labor, which means if you're a small contractor, state of Oregon is not gonna allow you to make a bid on any project. So the unions basically said, "Hey, you give us the ability to strike anytime we want and pay us for striking whenever we want, and then guarantee, and then we're also going to be guaranteed that, you know, any project that happens in Oregon by the third largest employer in Oregon, which means a lot of projects, have to be done with union labor." So you got to know the union's kicking a whole lot of money to people, because look at all the pluses they get. They can go on strike anytime they want and get paid for it. And they are guaranteed to be the only people that can bid on projects for the state of Oregon, which means, you know, that $100 piece of road pothole filling you want done, well, it's going to be, you know, $1 million now, and they're going to lose 990,000 of it somewhere and still not get that pothole filled. So, you know, it just keeps getting better.
It does.
Isn't the whole point of unemployment that you have to be actively looking for a job? And if you're striking, you're literally doing the opposite. You're turning down
Yeah.
a job offer that's sitting there waiting for you.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That's a good point. Very
Your job
good, Chris.
Your job is
It's
still there.
completely contrary.
Yeah.
It's so
Whoa,
stupid.
wow. Yeah, I didn't even see it from that end. Thank you, Chris. Damn, no shit. You're supposed to be working for a job. Yeah, I mean, looking for a job. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
supposed to be striking the job you already
You have to like actually report. I mean, at least that's that's how it was for me in New York when I
Yeah.
applied
That
for
was the way it
unemployment.
was.
You had to show that you had to you were actually applying for jobs and looking for jobs. You had to
Yeah.
prove it in
So I
order
wonder
to
if they can
keep
do
receiving
like
benefits.
I wonder if they can do like a ring around the rosy kind of thing on this, where it's like, okay, you know, your union is striking, but your union comprises like 18 different industries. So it's like the union will say, oh yeah, this person applied for a job as an auto worker, and then next week they applied for a job as a hotel employee, and then next week they applied for a job as so long as it's somewhere in a union job. So all the unions can go on strike, and then they can doctor the paperwork and say, oh yeah, of course he applied for a job here.
No,
so
there's
therefore he
they can-
qualifies for
No, that
Well,
would
it'd be
be
fraud.
That would be
Wouldn't it?
fraud. Yeah, the legislature can't
Fraud?
perpetrate a fraud.
No. I mean,
fraud.
it'd be
No.
fraud. The person doing it, because you have a job available and you're turning it down, but then
Right.
you're filling out a form saying that you are willing to accept any job offer given to you. Like, I don't know how it is in Oregon, but when I did it in New York, you
That's how it
actually have
was
to
in New
sign a form that says you are willing to accept any offer that comes your way, and that
Oh, yeah,
is the
same thing
only
in
way
Cali-
you can get unemployment.
Same thing in California, or at least it was 40 years ago when I was unemployed for 2 weeks.
That's why if I was ever on unemployment, I'd go apply, like at Victoria's Secrets and stuff like that. Give me the job.
Yeah.
I wanted to be the cup measurer. They just wouldn't let me.
Oh, God.
I know. I'll apply for a wet nurse. I don't know if they're discriminating. Damn it!
Yeah. And
I
I wanted to be
identify as a wet nurse.
I wanted to be a pole dancer, and then I found out, well, for guys, pole dancer is a completely different job, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no, I don't want that one.
The sad part is they'd go, Mr. Taylor, they actually accepted your application. Ah, shit. Now I got to go pole
Oh.
dance.
Actually, it's hard, but it's easier for guys, I think. Guys have the arm strength.
There you go.
Women have bigger bottoms. So we're disenfranchised with that. And like we have the hourglass shape and not strong arms, and then guys have the
Right.
more like the, I don't know what you call it.
Upper body strength.
Yes,
The
upper
hand
body-
gestures are just,
Yeah.
the men, they have the thing.
Yeah.
They have
They have the pole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The big thing.
Yeah. And I was
Oh,
like,
boy.
I'm really not sure what she's saying, but I'm loving the hand gestures.
I
Oh,
agree.
man.
I agree 100%. I vote for that. What is that
Yeah.
bill? I vote for that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
just read.
I called Kevin Starrett because I wanted to get an interview from him, and poor Kevin. I didn't call him. I texted him because I already knew what kind of mood he was in. And poor Kevin, he says unless Tucker Carlson calls him, he's going silent for a while. And I don't blame him. It's a sad thing. He knows he's going to be fighting the SB 243 in court. That is if he has the financial means. If anyone out there has money, Oregon Firearms Federation at OregonFirearms.org is the place to go, because your Second Amendment has just been stripped away in many ways. And they're going to have to fight this in court, and the Republicans aren't going to be there. The Republican senators who didn't leave, they're not going to be paying for this.
Trump actually, he did an executive order on the Second Amendment. Did you guys know that?
Yeah. What order?
Okay, let me find it, because it is the second, it's like securing the Second Amendment or something like that is the title.
Well, I know the DOJ is working on a way to stop any of the states passing laws to get rid of assault weapons. That's something that's being worked on, and I'd like to see him put another but these executive orders are the same things as a governor mandate. It's a presidential mandate. It's bullshit without the authority of Congress actually passing legislation. So that's what pisses me off about this, is that we have a Republican-controlled Congress, and yet they're sitting on their laurels making deals, watching pole dancers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called is it an executive order? It's called Protecting Second Amendment Rights. It was signed into place February 7th, 2025. And he talks about the purpose. Here's section 1, the purpose. The Second Amendment is an indispensable safeguard of security and liberty. It has preserved the right of the American people to protect ourselves, our families, and our freedoms since the founding of our great nation, because it is fundamental and because it is foundational and to maintaining all other rights held by Americans. The right to keep and bear arms must not be infringed. So I don't understand why Oregon seems to be going rogue.
The opposite direction.
Yeah. So
well, the nice thing is that here in Coos County, if the sheriff follows the directive that was given to him by the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance that was passed by an initiative by the voters of Coos County, then he can completely ignore all state and federal regulations on the Second Amendment as a violation, because it shall not be infringed. And hopefully, and I don't have any guarantees to this. I'm not even sure if he would, but I would like to think that the sheriff would ignore these types of things. And I would hope he would. I don't know. Chris, what do you think? You've talked to him probably more than I have.
I have no idea what he thinks anymore. Yeah, no idea. And
No,
by the
I
time this
know.
is in place, hopefully we'll have a new sheriff. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hopefully. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Ben Edel. Ben, how you doing, man?
hey,
We're talking about the
Ben.
Second Amendment.
Yeah, we're talking
No.
about the Second Amendment. Feel free to
got a
join in.
lag.
Uh-oh. No, I don't think he hear. Let me see. Maybe his mic is on. Ben, can you hear us?
Can you hear us? Hello? Oh.
He's not looking like he's hearing us.
Oh, jeez. This is like Gavin Newsom's press conference.
This is like Gavin Newsom. Did you see that? You know, I sit there and
I got no audio, man.
You got no
Oh, no.
audio?
I can't hear anything anyone's saying.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what's
We can
going
hear
on
you
here.
fine.
We can hear
Yeah.
you fine. Let me see. I can
I
send
can't
him a
hear you say that.
Yeah, I know. Marty, send him a private chat that says we can hear him fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Boy.
we're
No audio.
Huh.
SOS. What are the numbers, Marty?
Oh,
What
the
numbers?
reservation I was making.
Got
Yeah,
it.
it's a secret code.
Did you get it?
I nailed it.
All right. I knew it.
It's like I look at my sound settings on this thing, and I've got 15 speakers apparently that I can use, and I just clicked each one, and then until I heard your all's beautiful voices.
Oh, there
Hey,
we go.
man. Did you have a good dinner?
I had dinner, and it was a good dinner. It was with my wife and two of our boys. Our oldest is out of the house, probably doing something of his own, but it was very nice.
That's cool. I'm glad. Because I know you've been real busy and your phone has been blowing up because of NVBN, right?
It's blown up. It's one thing or another thing, but yeah, it's blown up. Do you remember the days where you just didn't have notifications? You just you pick up the phone and go,
Yeah.
sorry, no one's home. Leave a message after the beep.
Ben, you want to do something funny? Go
Phony?
get an old phony, funny, whatever.
We
Go
try to
get
say,
an
Rob.
Let's do a little bit
I
of both, yeah.
know. I'm still going. Hey, so get a phone, one of those rotary phones,
Yeah.
and see if your boys can use it. That would be film it too.
Oh.
They
Film
wouldn't
it.
know what it is. They'd be
I
like,
know.
what's
Yeah.
that? Is it a microwave? Can you cook food in it?
Yeah.
One
Get
ringy
a-
dingy, two ringy
Get a
dingy.
get a rotary phone and a 300 baud modem, and with an acoustical coupler, and plug it into the back of the computer and go, "Here's your internet now, boys. Enjoy."
Yeah,
Download a kilobyte.
that's
Yeah.
it.
Oh, it's funny, man. It's crazy.
So did you hear the transportation bill is dead?
I did. I unplugged for a few hours, but I wasn't sure. But that if that's real, that's fantastic and alarming at the same time.
Same time. And we were just talking about the deals that had to be made to lock this sucker up because the governor was twisting a lot of freaking arms. And I think the fact that the senators stayed in there during 243, the gun bill, I think that may have had part to do with it. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think she definitely twisted Kevin Mannix's arm, and I just wonder how hard she had to twist. But
She's
I'm
still
sure he
holding
wanted-
it. Are you kidding? She's still holding it, man.
Are you sure it's the arm?
I don't know. Whatever it
Yeah.
it's probably the easiest thing to grab. But
Yeah.
Just asking. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
She may not have those technical capabilities because she doesn't actually lean that direction, so she might not actually know
Oh, that's
where
true.
to grab.
That is
You're
true.
right. You're right,
Yeah,
Marty. You're right.
so-
Yeah.
yeah, who knows? But
I like how Marty's the sensible one here. Yeah.
Wow. Everybody's in trouble now. Oh, man.
So what do you think? What do you think? Give up, man.
I don't know, but what do you give up when you have no power? I mean, even if they weren't in a supermajority, that's where you see all the bad Republicans come out into the light because there's enough of them to where they got to make deals, and so they're like, "Who wants to make a deal?" And then a few of them raise their hand and go make the deal. But in this case, there's no what deals needed to be made until the
Right.
Democrats start defecting, like what we've been seeing. And I think that's very courageous because they'll take you to the woodshed if you don't do what you're told as a Democrat. So I was really glad to see you're out of control, Michaela. Michaela, if she were here, she'd be like calling this meeting to order.
Order. You're out of line. You're out of line.
Yeah.
Kids together. I'm
This is
kidding,
not
Michaela. You know we love
We
you.
are not following the Robert's Rules of Order here.
No.
You're like, okay.
Not at all. But no, so now, it's a weird deal. Democrats start defecting, and now you've got a real bad situation. And, we'll all be felons. Raise your hand if you have magazines with more than 10 rounds. Okay. Yeah. Next spring, we're all going to be Class C felons. Thanks a lot. Meanwhile, are getting free dope, paraphernalia and, whatever. They get let off the hook because they've been harmed.
But
Well,
we
you
are
can just say that you're.
Oh, go ahead,
Oh, I was
Marty.
just going to say you can just basically say your 10+ round magazine is actually a new and improved vaping device, so that you can do your Narcan while you're smoking a bowl of pot and doing some psilocybin, because that's your container. And yeah, I know it looks like a gun magazine, but I
It
only think that when I'm
identifies.
doing shrooms. So.
It identifies as something else.
Oh, that's
Remember,
right.
Marty? That's the way that they roll. They identify as other things, right?
Yeah.
Well, here's the problem, Ben. Man, they're having trouble trying to keep up with the lawsuits as it is that they got going, man. I don't know how they're going to do it. And I don't know who's going to challenge this shit. This is some serious stuff coming down.
Yeah, they just, they passed Measure 114. That got shut down. Then they started legislating all the bits and pieces of Measure 114 and spreading it out so thin that you have to file 100 lawsuits just to have your basic civil rights. And, I put a tweet out today and I just said, man, they're criminalizing Americans for being American at this point, while they're protecting criminals that are here that aren't even allowed to be here, and giving them, payment cards, housing, food, Obama phones, whatever they need. But yet they're criminalizing us. And this is like phase 2 of the communist takeover, which is historically predictable. You got, they created mass migration to and from by being absolutely insane. And then we've got the mass migration pretty much over with. I mean, everybody's left Oregon that possibly can. And so now they're going to start criminalizing their opposition. And this is the way to do it. You go after a basic constitutional right. But you know what? I don't think that the Trump DOJ is going to stand for this shit. Nope. And no. I think they're coming. I know they're coming. They're coming after California. They're making an example out of New York. And they swing a big bat. Okay. Yeah. And so that's the problem. Right back to the transportation bill is that the reason they had to pass an $11.5 billion tax increase is because they are unwilling to give up their DEI. They're unwilling to give up their illegals. They're unwilling to let anybody into the election system to see what is actually going on. And the Trump administration is going to pull all their funds. And so instead, this is the double-edged sword for the people of Oregon, is that we're now going to be paying, this exorbitantly more state taxes, and we're not going to benefit from our share of the federal taxes that we already pay. And so they're screwing us from both ends. And I think they call that a Chinese finger cuff.
Yes.
Yes. Well, because the reason, and you see all these really bad bills and like this big panic going on where they have to, like, all of a sudden these bills are like 11 billion, 15 billion. And it's like they know they're going to get cut off if they don't change their ways and get rid of DEI and get rid of all the things that Trump has basically said. We're at the FA part of the program, and you're about to FO on this one. So you're about to find out. And they know they're going to get all their funding cut off because they want to have all the illegals. They want to give money to the illegals. They want to do DEI. They want their schools bad. They want their people stupid. They want you depending on the Oregon government. And the only reason they could keep this BS afloat is because they are getting so much money from the feds and from USAID and NGOs. And like a lot of that money is being cut off. I mean, just the fact that, there's hundreds and, millions of people that aren't supposed to have Social Security numbers. and illegals getting Social Security numbers and benefits. All that's going away. And it's like, yeah, I mean, the government's been paying for the illegals, and now they're not going to anymore. And it's the state of Oregon's not going to be able to make up the deficit. So that's why they're going, we need to pass a multi-billion-dollar bill so we can have a slush fund so we can pay for all this BS while we try to ride out the fact that, Trump won't be in office forever. And it's like, no, I think he's, you impeached him twice, you shot at him twice. I think he's pretty much done screwing around with you guys. And he already figured out who most of the bad guys are. And so now he's installed all these people that are basically going, we're not screwing around anymore. Here's $2,000. Leave the country. If you don't, we'll find you. We'll kick you out.
Wasn't that a great idea?
I know. So,
yeah, I know, right? Like, I was like, whoa, would they really self-deport? And actually, I think he's had more self-deportations than he has actually deporting the criminals. So,
where you can tell that's true, this is from what I've heard from my family in Texas and New Mexico, is that the hospital rooms, the waiting rooms, the emergency rooms, all the services, they're starting to lighten up. They're not being jam logged by all these illegal aliens, all these services, and that since President Trump has taken over, the border is closed, is secure, and that the cities that are right there, the states that are right there on the border, they're starting to see this. And New Mexico ain't going to say nothing because they're Democrats, and neither is California. But Texas acknowledges this fact that it's been a lot easier for the people who are living in those areas. And I used to live in that area, and they're the front line, and they're the first ones who feel all the suffering of this.
And the relief, apparently.
And the relief. Hey, Ben, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
We were talking about the bill that allowed striking workers to receive unemployment. And Chris made a completely salient point that, damn, I'm mad that I didn't even think of it. He said that they're supposed to be looking for work as part of the qualifications of getting unemployment. Did they take that out of the bill? You don't even have to look for work? I don't understand.
Chris, I love you, man. That's so smart. When I posted that, I got so many people's comments that I was like, dude, y'all should be the ones with the thousands of followers because you're smarter than me to come up with this stuff. And that's another great example. But yet that's first off, I said that Oregon was the first state to do this. And then I had about, 200 people from Washington State tell me, nope, we did it a few weeks ago. They beat us to the punch. So
and Connecticut just shot it down yesterday. Connecticut was trying to do the same.
It was too left for Connecticut even? Wow.
Yeah, even Connecticut said we're not doing that. And it was like, wow. So we're farther left than Connecticut now. Yikes.
Oh, we're farther left than yeah, we're off the edge of the earth. I mean, you got
just Northern California part 2, so
it's bad. I mean, but the real concern here is the mirrored legislation in all 3 West Coast states, and that to me is the biggest tell in terms of that there's a larger organization that's looking to separate the Western United States away from the rest of the country, and they're separating it through the law. They're violating the U.S. Constitution daily in the capitals of all 3 states. And we live in a system where our elections are a complete boxed canyon. We're looking at data blackouts. I run a government agency that has elections, and we've been totally blacked out from the process by a county clerk who everyone in the county for the most part thinks this guy's MAGA, Dan Loomis. He ain't MAGA. He's blacked out the elections. They're stealing elections. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, I don't care. If you're a thief and a crook and a criminal, you should be cuffed up and taken to prison. And let me tell you something. The DOJ is looking at Oregon, and I'm going to make sure that the DOJ looks at Douglas County.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
They definitely need that. Oh, and by the way, when you said that Loomis was MAGA, I thought maybe you misspelled it. I think it's MAGGOT, but okay.
A real MAGA maggot. No, I've met with
maggot.
mayors and with city council people of towns and municipalities across Douglas County, and they are wholly in the heads in the sand about what's going on there. I would say that Multnomah County and Douglas County are the two most corrupt counties in the entire state of Oregon.
And that says a lot. That says a lot.
I'm from Multnomah County. I live 2 miles from Multnomah County now. I've lived there most of my entire life. And I can tell you right now that the scale is different. Multnomah County is stealing billions, and Douglas County is stealing probably tens to 100 million.
Right.
But they're stealing, and they're controlling everything all the way down. Look, I don't know if you guys talked about this special election that we just had in May, but we had.
I do want to talk about that because, tie that in, please.
Yeah, because this is where the corruption really is. This is really what you have to think about when you think about the legislation that is in unison between Oregon, Washington, California. And then you have to look at the election system because that's how they lock it in, okay? That's how they lock it in. Nobody wants the taxes. Nobody wants the tolls. Nobody wants this stuff. But they keep doing it, and they keep getting reelected by landslides. It's insane, or it's close, and then there's a blackout for a number of days, and it comes back and they lose. We saw that with a Republican legislator in the Woodburn area this last election in 2024, and now we're seeing it with Todd Vaughn down here in Douglas County. And they can't let us be successful, because the more successful we are, being in the position that I've been in the last 6-7 months, I've been able to meet with political players across the county, and they go, oh my God, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, if Dan Loomis was MAGA, why would he black out the election data we can't see anything. We paid $40,000 as a district on behalf of the taxpayers to run this election, and we can't see anything. They won't let us see not a single thing. They wouldn't even give us the adjudicated ballots for one single race. They wouldn't even do that. They won't give us a goddamn thing. Dan Loomis is completely locking this thing down, and the only answer that we can come up with is because they don't want us to see what really happened in Douglas County. And I'll tell you right now, they stole the election. They're crooks, they're criminals, and we're going to come after you, Dan. I'm going to make sure that you're in cuffs. Mark my words, because this isn't right. We are either self-governed or we are not self-governed. And by God, come hell or high water and over my dead body, will I not be self-governed in the United States of America.
Awesome.
And I agree with you, Douglas County, Multnomah County. The reason Douglas County is people are going to go, well, but they're one of ours. They're the Republicans. These are ran by good Republicans. And I can tell you right now, folks, any of you who are watching from around the state or around the nation, Oregon is a captive state, and the Republican Party is a captive party, and only the elite and the selected few, the political class in that party, are allowed to succeed and move forward because they're trying to rig the game. And part of it is because they want to water down the conservative MAGA Republicans. Plain and simple.
100%.
Yeah, plain and simple. I mean, and I had similar issues with getting information from Coos County. And okay, so they finally relented. I had to take them to court. I finally got ballot images or adjudicated ballot images, and then I got them all. But they redacted things. You know, it's like, oh, we're going to have to redact private information for security of the electorate. We don't want any of their private information out. I'm like, they wrote on a public document and turned it in. It's not private, but okay, fine. Let's just allow your argument to exist. And they said, oh, but we're going to have to redact the precinct and the ballot style. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know, using the premise that I could reverse engineer the precinct and the ballot style to figure out who voted for what. Nah, smallest precinct in Coos County is 315. There's no way I can reverse engineer that.
No, they're blocking out the precincts because, look, one of the things you got to understand is that they overprint 5% of the ballots that they total in total per precinct. Yeah. So it's 5% per precinct that they have to play with. And so they have to bring in a bunch of different stuff, whether it be algorithms or whatever, or they got to delete ballots. That's why we're seeing this huge amount of undervotes in all these races across the state, is because they're just taking, someone votes for Todd Vaughn, they just write in Mickey Mouse, and now it's a it's an adjudicated ballot. You can't tell what the voter intent was. But if they're blacking out the precincts, that means that they're bringing in ballots from other precincts to make the difference up, and that's how they're doing it. They're not blacking out the precincts for any kind of identity protection because there's no way to tell. So that's another way that they lie. That's
just another ruse
of cheating.
Yeah, it's just another ruse they used. And the thing is if it was just precincts and ballot styles, I wouldn't have any problem. I could still count the election. I have the thing that can read ovals, blah, blah, blah. But they actually had some races where they just blocked out all the ovals. They just wiped them out. They hit them with whiteout and got rid of them. So there's no way for me to look at that race because there's no ovals anymore. And I'm like, so they destroyed the data. I tried to get
that's tampering with evidence.
It is. But the whole
you have that information, because I think we need to make that public. We need to show the public. That's what NVBM, by the way. Thanks for putting that up that up there, because that's where you need to go. You want to make a difference. But if they're whiting out the votes, how do you tell? Yeah. How do you tell? What are you even looking at?
Chris,
that's the point, right?
And then I got the voter election. I got the web. I got the election log, and I got the. I got all the log files, and they redacted those as well. And according to their log files, they did not run the 2020 election. So who are you supposed to believe? No, but wow. I have all this data and all this evidence that says they are not giving me. I ask for information. They say pay a bunch of money for it, or when they do give it to me, they give me stuff that's been redacted or destroyed such that I can't get any of the real data out of it. So
I haven't done anything.
I have all this evidence, so
Ben, tell us what's going on though with Todd Vaughn's race. What's going on with this?
Well, what happened was that on election night, Todd was reported to have won by 90 votes, 89 votes, something like that. Okay, he wins the race on election night. So then the rules are, the legislature's given the Secretary of State enormous power to create administrative rules. So one of the administrative rules is that a clerk can put out or dump election data on any schedule they want to after election day. But remember, by law, they have 7 days to collect ballots and count ballots after election day, whether they're postmarked or not. And so that's the legislation of the law. So the way that the Secretary of States have created rules around that is that the county clerks, all they have to do, they can have whatever schedule they want, but all they have to do is post their schedule online. So what Dan Loomis did on election night is he posted that he was going to go into a blackout for 8 days and not report anything. And then in 8 days, do a final drop, because we were talking 10%, barely 10% turnout, okay, in Douglas County. Extremely red flag low, okay? That's like 10,000 out of 80,000 registered voters, so my 89,000 registered voters. Crazy low number. And so,
wait a minute, whoa, 10? Oh, you only had a 10% turnout?
It's roughly 10%. On election night, they had an 8.75% turnout, and maybe it was like 13 or something. I can't remember, but it was between 10 and 13, something like that. I can't remember. Maybe Sam knows.
That's only the ballots that they counted that day.
Yeah,
so there's 8 total counting days.
But they count ballots as received now. That's legislation as well. So they can count the ballots as they're returned. So Republicans generally vote on election day. They vote late because they know that they're privy to the way that the system cheats the voter. And so after that 8 days, the next data dump came out, and Todd had lost by a couple hundred votes. But there's about 400 undervotes. So when you take the 890, the first 90 he won by, and then the 200 he lost by, 250 he lost by, that's 350, and there just so happens to be 400 undervotes. So those are votes that people decided not to vote in his race. Similar thing happened when he ran for Senate. David Brocksmith spent $260,000 in false mailers and lying about Todd and everyone else, and then Todd spent about $17,000, but it was a very high profile race, and because David Brocksmith sued me and tried to threaten to sue me, and Todd and a few others just to
just about everybody in the phone book, but yeah.
Yeah. So that became statewide news, right? Like Willamette Week and Oregonian, everybody covered that. Okay. So that became a high profile race. And in that high profile race, there was 4,500 undervotes in that Senate race, and Todd lost by 2,500. So 4,500 people voted for Virgil Osborne, who did not have a challenger. Okay. So 4,000 people voted for Virgil Osborne without a challenger than in the David Brock Smith, Todd Vaughn race. My fat ass. So, that just doesn't happen. The undervotes are always in the race that, someone doesn't have a challenger.
Right.
Anyway, that was insane. So that was weird. But this time it's just, they've taken it too far. And I was going to say this earlier. The real critical thing is that Douglas County is run by a cabal of criminals. Okay. The commissioners, the legislators, they're related. They've been together a long time. The sheriff, Dan Loomis, the district attorneys, they're all in on it, man. They all signed a public endorsement to recall the Roseburg Six from the Republican Party elected positions. Okay, that's Michaela and all this stuff, allegedly. Yeah, allegedly. No, I'm telling you, this is what they are. It's not alleged in my mind, and I'm going to say it for what it is. And but all the same people, the commissioners, the DAs, the everybody in this area, they signed the endorsement to recall these people. These people then got placed onto the board and took control of a government agency, the Umpqua Public Transportation District. And the very same people who will be signing the declaration that this election is certified are the same people who signed that letter that said that these people need to be recalled. Why? Because they ran against David Brock Smith. They ran against him, and that's why they wanted him recalled. There's no other reason for it whatsoever. We turned that agency around in 6 months. When I became CEO, 2.5 weeks away from insolvency, 3.5 years of compliance violations with state and federal government. And the federal government, we were in a position where we were not even legally allowed to get funding. But we secured that funding, and within 6 months, we were 100% compliant. We had doged it. We were saving $600,000 a year in taxpayer funding. We cut administration from like 5 people to 3 people. And we did it all without reducing any degree of service. In fact, improving service to the citizens of Umpqua. And then all 4 board members who did that all got thrown off the board. Can you imagine? Yeah. Look around this state of all these terrible school board people, these terrible do nothing, elected people in these special districts. You can't throw them off their seat no matter what, even if it's national news. I live in Tualatin. We had Hazelbrook where a dude in a dress beat the crap out of a girl, and it was worldwide. It was an international viral video, and the superintendent resigned. Everything went down to shit, but all of those board members held their seats. Yep. But we can't do that in Douglas County off of massive success. Something isn't right.
Especially since they just bragged about, we registered so many Republicans and this is a red county. We are so red. We're just so entirely red. And then all the red loses. How does that happen?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. The majority of the Douglas County voters, if they're not, either they are or they're not, the elections are either being totally manipulated, or the majority of voters in Douglas County, it's 79% Republican registered district, are as educated as the voters of Multnomah County.
Yeah.
So let me tell you, I had about 12,000 undervotes. So I believe it was 12,000. Yeah.
Wow.
When Virginia went through the numbers and she saw my election, she goes, "Oh my God, are you kidding me?
How did you have so many?
I didn't know you had 12,000 undervotes."
Yeah, I think it was.
How many? Wait a minute. How many total? Do you know the total of who voted in your category?
It was like 33,000 or something like that. I think
a third of undervotes.
Yeah. And undervotes. By the way, when he said you can vote for Mickey Mouse and it would be an undervote, no, that's a write-in. If you vote for Mickey Mouse, that's a write-in. That the undervote is it only means that nobody voted. you don't fill anything out and you don't write anything in. It just means that nobody voted.
Or
Now,
it's adjudicated where they fill in the hole, they fill in the dot, and then they write Mickey Mouse. That's what I was referring to, just FYI. But keep going.
well, that could also be a write-in. I mean, I don't know. I don't, Marty.
It's adjudicated as an undervote.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Basically what will happen, every write-in is essentially adjudicated ballot. Now there's adjudicated ballots because the machine can't read them, or they can't figure it out. But there's also adjudicated ballots if somebody puts something in the write-in or they scribble on it and they can't figure it out. It'll be set aside for adjudication. Write-ins or adjudication, they're just a special kind of adjudication where they figure out who wrote what for, So what they can do is they can take somebody that voted for Sam and then go, you know what? We're just going to write Mickey Mouse here, and now we adjudicate it. Well, they've got 2 votes here, and sorry, no vote for Sam.
Because they can't determine voter intent. They did this. We caught them with glasses with a freaking camera in the middle, which is illegal, but we had someone in Clackamas County 2024, and they were adjudicating ballots for Trump that also said Mickey Mouse, and we had it on video, and they were tossing them out. So they were writing on the write-in on Trump votes. You know why they did that? Because Trump would not have, if Trump won in Clackamas County, but every Republican got walloped, from commissioner all the way to state rep. That's what happened. Every Republican, including myself, got destroyed in Clackamas County, in 2024. And we found them.
That, right.
We found them that their Trump votes, they had to eliminate Trump votes too, because it would be very odd if Trump overwhelmingly won the election in Clackamas County, but they had never voted for any Republicans. But Sam, keep going, because I want to hear you're on. I want to hear your story too. But we're down a path. But keep telling your 12,000 undervote story, because you're suing Dan Loomis as well, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm contesting it, and it's so crazy, the stories that I'm hearing just with everybody. Like when I was at the fair last year, the old county clerk, her daughter actually spoke to me and told me all these stories about how Dan Loomis was just placed there, and the gal that was all trained up got mad. And I mean, and then Terry Noonkester, actually, she may testify in the Judicial Watch case. Hopefully she does, because I literally just heard the story. You want to hear it? So
Go.
Terry's analyzing. Sorry. So do you guys not want to hear it?
Yes,
No,
we
I
want to
want to
hear
hear
it.
it.
No,
So-
I said
so
go,
she's-
not no. I said
Oh, they
go,
said no.
go,
Oh, okay,
go,
okay.
go.
So
I want to hear it.
So she's
Go.
she's analyzing all this data back in 2022-ish, when both her and I were thrown out of the election integrity group because we were doing the right thing. So she's analyzing this data, and she looks at the registrations. She looks at certain days, and she says, "Oh my gosh, there's 200 people that are registered to vote in one day." So then she says, okay, and she checks there's a website you can check to see if they're dead. Well, a lot of them were dead, but they were registered on a certain day, all in one day. So she gets the death certificate. She goes into the county clerk, and he says, "Oh yeah, I re-registered those dead people because the law just passed that we don't have to clean our voter rolls, and the Secretary of State told me to put the dead people back on the voter rolls, so I re-registered them to vote."
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Every House Republican voted for that bill. It was 2021, leading up to the gubernatorial election. They brought 500,000 previously deactivated voter registrations back onto the rolls just in time for the 2022 gubernatorial election. And every House Republican voted for it.
Yeah. So let me tell you that just, it blows my mind at how fraudulent. I mean, we're talking vote by mail, sending out ballots to all of these dead people, and guess who they go back to? They go back to the guy that's perpetrating all the crimes. And he can open it up and fill out the blank ballot. And I'm sorry, but when I was observing, I saw tons of blank ballots on the wall while the election was going on. where's the chain of custody? Like, there's just none. So sorry. But yeah, in my election, there was a lot of undervotes. There was so many undervotes. I think there were more undervotes than what he won me by. And let me tell you,
if that's true, I'm trying to find it, because if that's true, Samantha, that is a staggering number. That's just unusual especially when you're running against the county clerk. You know what I mean? Dan? Doesn't that sound just crazy?
Yeah, she was having a fit. She was like, "Oh my gosh, are you serious right now? Look at all these undervotes." And I was like, "Exactly." So, so if Dan actually won after the actual official election day, why would he stand up there at a PCP meeting telling everyone, all the PCPs, like basically pointing his finger at me, saying that if I would have won, I would have broken the law. And, she took so many good votes away from me. And he was just complaining about all this stuff. And it was like, not once did he ever say that I lied. Of course, he did send out an email to all the PCPs saying that I lied about I said that there was 2 lawsuits out against him, and he corrected me, and he said, "She's such a liar. There's 3 lawsuits that were out against me."
Well, there you go.
You can't have a liar like that in office, and she's just such a liar.
So hold on. He won the election, yet somehow you being in the election stole good votes away from you. And I'm like going, well, so you're basically saying you made this election so hard because I had to like put all these dead people back on the voter roll so they could vote for me. And, and it's like that, normally I win by default, and now I had to actually work, and I had to mark like 13,000 ballots so that they would be counted as undervotes, or, I had all this work I had to do. Normally I get to do, I just show up and I win. You bastard. You made me actually have to work for my job.
Right?
I don't have to do that very often.
Well, actually, he made a statement on Facebook saying that I won the election, and guess what I did? Really, I didn't really do much. I mean, I didn't even have to campaign all that much because it was like pedo Pete all over again. What's his name? Biden. It was like Biden all over again in his basement running an election, really, cheating. So.
Yep. 20 million votes that didn't happen in 2024.
Yeah,
exactly.
How is it that over the last 3 presidential election cycles, it's like, somehow there was an extra 15 million votes in 2020 that weren't there in 2016 and weren't there again in 2024?
Well, I have the answer for that if you're interested.
Okay.
Oh, go right ahead.
Last Friday evening, Kash Patel, the director of the FBI, sent a package, an investigative report to Congress, proving that the Chinese government was creating fake IDs and using AI to register non-existent voters on our porous and easily manipulatable electronic voter registration systems, like the website that requires in Oregon 4 digits as a social security number. You don't need an address. You don't need a phone number. You don't need anything else. You need a name and 4 digits. And so there's 4 million people in Oregon. How many people have the same 4 digits as their social security number? And how many have been checked? Well, we'll never know because you can't audit the system. But that proof is there. And the claim was made in 2021. And we were all called election deniers for making that claim and for following that claim, Trump and everybody else. You got to understand, if, the state of Oregon has spent over $100 million since 2020 on basically trying to get 2 words into your head. And those 2 words are safe and secure. And it's a psyop. They spent $100 million alone on voting feels good in Oregon. That's their campaign. And I've been to the Secretary of State's. I'm a chief petitioner. I've handed documents and filed paper documents at the elections division, and they got their voting feels good in Oregon signs framed on the wall. They're still pushing that narrative. And if you question that narrative, then they're going to call you a denier. And I'm done with it. After the election, and I saw every Republican in Clackamas County, which is a red county in the Portland metro area, when I saw that every Republican got destroyed after seeing the movement to the right in the entire Portland metro area, I said to I remember I was in my hotel in Douglas County getting ready to go in the next day to work. And I said, man, I'm taking the gloves off. Like this, there's no more playing around with these people. There's no more being afraid of what they're going to call me. There's no more like giving it to people where they're at. Like, well, maybe, just maybe because this, no. If you want to find out the truth, if you want indisputable evidence that our election system is designed for mass election fraud, okay, totally rigged, then you go to nvbm.com/legislation, and the entire blueprint for the fraud is right there. And you can click every bill and you can find every single aspect in the bill that's being claimed in the front. This is how they cheat. This is how they cover it up for every single bill since 1981 in the state of Oregon. And there's been very few election bills that even passed the House and Senate, even passed the legislature since 81. You got 81, then you got 90, and then you got some in the 2015s. And that's when they started, or 2008, when they started doing AVR, automatic voter registration. And then after that, 2019, we had to create its own section because in 2019, they had so many bills to rig the elections, getting ready for the 2020 election, that they had to give it its own section. Wow. But go check it out because it's all right there. 100%. It's all right there.
Thank you.
I
just put the link in private chat for you, Rob. So, or I can share my screen either way.
Share your screen.
Let's see if this works. I'm going to try to share my screen and see if this thing.
Click on this button. This is the election, right?
The NVBM legislation page. Or are you talking about the Douglas County election?
No, go for that. Go do what you're doing.
Oh, okay. I think. No.
What's an overvote mean?
When they vote twice for the same thing, it's an overvote, right, Samantha?
Yeah. I'm not sure. So I'm still confused by the under. So if you vote for like Mickey Mouse and then for me, is that overvote or undervote?
They can adjudicate that as a no vote, so it'd be an undervote. But they could also possibly call a write-in and an overvote. I don't know. They could probably go either way with it.
Marty, do you know?
My race got 6 overvotes.
Yeah, overvote is when they mark more than one oval. So if there are two people, if it's a vote for one and more than one oval is marked, then that's considered an overvote.
Okay.
Undervote, I think, is if they don't fill anything out at all. So
that's what you're right.
That's the way I understood it. So if you had a bunch of undervotes for your specific race, that doesn't necessarily mean they were stacking the deck against you. It would be if they had a bunch of undervotes for, if they, I don't know. There's a couple ways to interpret it, but one thing is that if there was a bunch of people that voted for everything but your race, then that would increase your undervote count. But it would be more interesting to see if people that would likely to have voted for you voted for, didn't vote for all the races except your race. And so that would be the ones where it'd be like, okay, that's a Dan Loomis only vote, where they filled in a ballot that only had Dan Loomis on it, and then all the other races were empty.
Right.
That would be,
that's a little
that
odd.
Would be an undervote. That'd be an undervote count.
And Michaela put it up there. She says an overvote is more than one vote in the same race, just like we had said, like Ben had said.
Yeah, if it's a vote for one, because there are some where it's like you can vote for 5 people in this because there's 75 people on the ballot, whatever. But in the normal one where it's vote for one,
lack of vote in a
then
race.
Yeah, if there's more than one oval filled out, then there you go.
Okay.
And the thing is if they have a certain amount of a percentage of adjudicated ballots, and during the 2020 election, it was like 1,000% increase or something like that. Marty, it was like incredible for Coos County, and it was so when you're talking about the undervote, if the races in the same lineup are not having that same undervote, it would be really unusual that your race would have such a large undervote, and therefore that would be questionable why people would skip you and vote for, say, the person after you, the person before you, because that's just unusual. Now there's a down ballot situation that I forget which politician describes it perfectly, but when people are voting, they'll vote for president, and they might vote for the senator if he's the federal senator, in the congressman. But the further he goes down, they just forget it when it gets to the judges and the school districts, and some forget it by the time they get to the state senator. So it's a down
exactly.
ballot problem.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I got to
mean,
jump, guys. Families, my boys are in the driveway working on their drop step, and I'm gonna. they need me to come out and just ensure that it's correct.
Okay, that's cool.
But keep up
What
the
is
good
that?
fight. What's that, Sam?
What's a drop step?
It's a
It's a
basketball
dance.
move. It's when you drop step down on a guy, seal him
Oh, I
away
thought it
from
was
the
a dance.
basket.
Oh, okay.
But
and here I thought we were back to pole dancing with Samantha.
I did too.
Spin knows something, but no, not too many
Look,
people know
sport
this.
is sport, okay?
Spin, nope,
Sport
nope.
is sport.
No, I was thinking like those rappers doing that dance. What is that called?
Oh yeah.
The spinning and turning.
B-boys.
Well, you know, like break dancing.
Break
yeah.
dancing. That's
Okay,
it. I'm so
hey.
old.
Look,
And then we'll have to do
I'm
the
from the
bass
city. I'll tell you
drop.
right now, rappers don't break dance.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. We're out here. We think funny things about you people. Okay. Yes.
I know how to b-boy and break dance. I can do the 6-step.
Let's go.
All right, man. Hey, tell your family thank you for letting us share you for a few minutes.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. It's good to see you guys. Keep up the good fight.
You got it, man. Take care.
You
Bye,
too,
everybody.
man.
All right. Well, let's get off of this. That election stuff. It gets so depressing. So I want to talk about something more cheery and entertaining and adventurous that Chris Castleman took part in just recently, and I love his videos. They're so outdoor like, and he's so Grizzly
geez.
Adams look to him. You know what I mean? So I really enjoy those videos. Chris, you just had a recent video. Why don't you give us an intro to it? Because I'd love to watch it. It was great. I loved it.
This was the one where we had some neighbors who lived. So there's like a dead end road, and turns into a fire road. And on the one side you have school board property, and on the other side it's like a private development that they haven't started yet. It's just a forest, but it's privately owned. But the side of the road that the school district owns is actually where most of the problems occur, which is crazy because you'd think that would be where no problems occur. And I think it was about a year and a half ago when I ran for commissioner, I actually filmed out there, and they had school in session, kids playing on the playground, and you had like bums walking around, like criminals. Like I know for a fact these people are criminals. I know who they are. You can look up their records. I'm not just calling homeless people criminals, like they actually are. One of them was a sex offender, and they're living in the woods up above a playground where elementary school kids are playing. Anyway, so this video though was the neighbors called me and they're like, these people are camping and they will not leave. Like they've been told many, many times to leave and they won't leave. So I figured, well, I'll go talk to them and see what we can do. And they left. They weren't happy about it.
And did you film that?
Yeah.
Ah.
It's usually easier when you're not putting a camera in someone's face, but and then no one believes that that it's this simple sometimes, and this is all it takes. I wish people would do this more often in their neighborhood. Might have less problems, but it's not always the case. Some of these people go totally apeshit, and it causes more of a problem. But this person packed up and left. So
Good.
Let me see if I'm sorry. God, we got a lot of windows open. Okay. All right, here we go.
Perry and I had some footage from a couple weeks ago, but we can't.
So what did it say that
share
my
that.
undervotes were, by the way? Rob.
What's happening here? Okay, there we go.
There it is.
So yeah, this whole right side of the road is school district property. And you just have trash everywhere, shopping carts, needles, the most random things.
And it's a beautiful area. This is gorgeous area. This is I'd love
the
to be able
Blossom
to
Gulch Nature Trail.
Yeah.
Those are like half and half packets, like little creamers. I just don't get some of the stuff I find out there. I found a newspaper box.
Hello. Do you mind coming out and chatting for a little bit?
Hi,
You're camping on school district property, you know that.
okay, yeah, it's just for one night. I got a trailer at Harmony Church, so I can put it up tomorrow morning.
Okay, can you go camp at Harmony Methodist Church then instead of the school board property?
I just thought it'd be okay just for one night. My friend Michelle, she lives right there.
I hear these excuses all the time.
She's gonna haul my trailer tomorrow from East Bay over to the Harmony Church tomorrow morning around 9.
Okay, could you go camp on your friend Michelle's property?
Okay. All right. I'm so tired.
Sure, but the neighborhood is tired of this.
Okay.
You know, this is not the intention of how this land should be used.
You're right. I did a lot of cleanup on this hill with my friend Michelle, so I rather respect this mountain. But okay, all right, I will. I'm just so tired.
Sure.
All right, I'll get dressed.
Okay.
I got my pajamas on already.
Well, sorry. Yeah, there's just no camping allowed out here.
Okay.
It's not a campground. There's places to do this, and this is not one of those places.
Okay.
So,
Good boy.
thank
Always
you.
have a sob story, or every single time, or they go ape shit. And then she said she was cleaning up the place, but she just left all her stuff here. It's crazy.
All right, well,
Oh my
she's
God.
gone. Question is she coming back for her tent and her bucket of stuff?
And then she's screaming at us as we left the woods.
What the fuck? You don't know who I am. You don't know what I do for the environment, you dumbass. For the department of the environment.
Are you Michelle?
Are you a fag?
What'd she say?
Are you a fag?
Yeah,
I asked her if she was, because we didn't even see the person, right? So we're just leaving the woods, and someone from a porch is just going ballistic, screaming all sorts of things at us. And the lady in the tent had said that her friend Michelle was allowing her to camp there. So I assumed it was her friend Michelle who was like mad that we sent her back to her house. But it turns out it was the lady from the tent who took a 180. She wasn't the nice, sweet lady in her pajamas that I met. And she went absolutely ballistic. But I did eventually meet the homeowner.
She's
We
not
had
trapped
the
in her
homeowner
tent
came out.
anymore. Yeah, she's not
Yep,
trapped
yeah,
in her
we-
tent anymore. She's where she can yell at you safely.
Yep.
And probably has had some coffee now because, well, what are you going to do with all those non-dairy creamer packets? But yeah,
No.
so
I got her to
so
calm
now that
down
she's-
eventually.
Did you?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask what'd she say? What'd she do?
She went like that for about 5 minutes straight.
Oh, wow.
And
Were
but
you
I
by
got
yourself?
no, I was with Perry.
Okay, good.
Perry doesn't appreciate being talked to like that, and that's why I cut the camera.
I get it.
But anyways, I got the homeowner to come out, Michelle, and I was like, look, can we just talk about this? Like, why are you, because she's the first house, like right out of the woods, she's the first house. So like, why are you having them camp there? I was like, why don't you pull your 2 cars out of your driveway, park on the street, and allow people to camp in your driveway? I'm like, I'm sure your neighbors wouldn't appreciate it, but at least you could have some integrity that you're like walking the walk instead of just telling people, oh yeah, go camp in the woods. I mean, so she seemed reasonable and agreed to that, but who knows if it's continued or not. Like using logic with these people is sometimes difficult, right? Like Have
Oh,
them
no
camp
doubt.
on your property, or give them $20 to go camp in the campground, or like something, but not camp on school district property where there's garbage everywhere. Like, you're not helping the situation. So but she was one of those bleeding heart liberals. Oh, I feel
Oh
for them, I feel for them. And it's I pointed across the street, like, but you don't care for your neighbors who have to put up with that? Like, they're hearing her screaming right now, like they have to put up with that. But I guess it was my fault that she was screaming.
But
Some
don't
bad
Well,
Well,
that's
not only
liberals believe in an open door policy? I mean, they don't believe in walls, and they are caring individuals, right? So the homeless lady should have been able to stay at Michelle's house because open door, right?
right.
Anybody can
right,
come
right.
in, right?
And then that's where she did stay the night. And like Michelle was like annoyed about it. And I'm like, but why are you annoyed? Like, if you don't want her in your house, we don't want
Right.
her in the woods. So
yeah,
it's just,
yeah,
and
yeah. If you don't
that was
want her
actually
in
one of the
her
nicer
house,
people I met
yeah, if
out
you don't
there.
want her in your house and you don't want her on your lawn, why do you think we want her in our on our
And
school
anywhere.
grounds? Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, don't you have any compassion for anybody going to this school? Why do you have to foist this problem onto the people that are trying to get an education, which is something that you obviously didn't get enough of if you think this is an okay thing to do? But
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
that would have been a lost argument. You never try to apply logic to idiots because
Well,
it'll just
the
make
thing
you
that
insane.
Chris just though proves the example that what we've been saying all along, it doesn't take much to do this. We're not getting violent with these people. We're being stern with these people. We're being the adults in the room and saying, look, we know you're in a situation, but the law is the law here, and you're trespassing on someone else's property, or you're trespassing on public property that wasn't designed to have people camping on. And I just kicked him out. A couple of guys down the street, I think it was last week. And it was funny. The guy, I walked up on him and I was taking pictures. He's all, are you taking pictures of me? And of course I got right up in his face and took a picture. I said, yeah. And you're going to be made famous if you don't get the hell out of here. And I kept my word. I didn't make him famous. You know what I mean? He got out of there. He picked up every one of those plastic cups. He had all these yellow plastic cups that he was drinking out of. This is how nuts these people are. And yeah, you have to do this. You can't be a cuck. You can't put up with this nonsense. And the reason why, Chris, I've described the neighborhood that I used to live in. It was a shithole. I've told you about it. It was a crime-ridden, gunshots every minute, people screaming and hollering, and that was just me. And so I lived in a really bad neighborhood. So
and when you moved out of the neighborhood, everybody was like,
everyone,
thank God the neighborhood has gotten 100%
while
better.
I was there was no way in reality that I could do anything to change that neighborhood, because it had gotten so bad that I would have to do a Charles Bronson death wish scenario where I was literally just shooting people in the street. The problem is they have a lot more guns and they have a lot more people than I do. So that's why I'm so just adamant about wanting to keep my neighborhood clean and ridden of people who are going to do bad things to my neighbors and to me, because I don't want it to devolve into the neighborhood I used to live in. And that's why we do this. And I know you have the same type of reasoning, and it's just wrong that we're allowing this to happen. And it's great that I haven't seen you at a city meeting or a county meeting lately, but it was great when you'd show up and you would really give it to them and tell them just that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't bear fruit. So it's cool to stand there and tell them, stick it to the man.
Yeah.
But if it's not bearing fruit, you got to change your approach.
Maybe not this time, but you're making inroads, and so
I would agree.
It's always an incremental gain. I mean, it would have been great if you got elected commissioner. It would have been great if you got elected to SWAC.
Yeah.
But the thing is you're making progress and you're making inroads and you're making, you're getting more people educated to what's going on. The problem is Rob can't do it all by himself, and I'm only doing it as part of Rob's show. It's not like
And Samantha's doing the pole dancing, so I don't know
Yeah,
where we are with that.
and
And
Samantha's like doing it for Douglas County, and it's like, so we're all adding to the education of the masses, and
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, and it would have been great if you had a win with SWAC or a win with whatever, but it's like,
So the
maybe
deadline is
next.
Monday, Chris. Do you want to make a little bit more waves? I actually I don't know if can I
Do you
say
know
this or not?
what
With
about the paperwork for contesting an election?
yeah, can I say who is doing that?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
I
maybe not?
I don't care.
There's a guy here in Douglas County that is doing that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Todd Vaughn.
Yeah. So
yeah,
Yeah, Todd
I
Vaughn
know
said
that
to
guy.
announce that. In fact,
okay.
you guys got 7 minutes to listen to a message from Todd Vaughn.
Sure.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Oh, hey, let me see if I still have the screen. Oh man, I think I lost it.
It's gonna be making waves, you guys. This whole it's
Well, I mean, Danessa and Donice have already filed some suits and gotten them into the Oregon Supreme Court already, I think, because they just basically did some sort of writ, and
okay.
and the whole point is that you just got to keep pecking away. I mean, it's like you keep adding snowflakes to a big pile of snow. Eventually, you're going to get an avalanche, and who knows what the last snowflake's going to be, because we're all very dainty snowflakes here. So there you go.
All right, I'm just going to play this video, and because I'm going to make a quick trip to the restroom. But this is like a 7-minute video, but it's really, really good from Todd Vaughn. He gives an excellent speech. I love listening to him talk, so I think it's worth it. So I'm just going to play this solo here.
Where is this at?
This is at the transportation meeting. Can you still hear me?
Okay. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh, good. I'll turn off my mic before I go to the restroom. Thank
Yeah, we don't
goodness
want to hear that.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Well,
always good to know.
here's the video. Dang it.
Perfect. Then let's
Madam Chair, I would ask for the opportunity to make read a written statement.
Of course.
As a board member.
Sure.
Would that be all right with everybody?
That is perfect.
It's a perspective, my perspective. So it'll help, I think, with the new board members, and it'll give you some information. Ben shared some stuff, like you guys will enjoy this. I'm Todd Vaughn, and it has been my privilege to serve on this board for the past 7 months. This will be my last board meeting, and I would like to briefly share my perspective on this experience. There are a number of elements that can cause an organization like UPTD to fail. These precursors of failure are nearly always related to poor leadership and bad decision-making. But in the case of UPTD, a transit district that is taxpayer funded, political agendas are an ever-present danger. You see, politicians love to take credit for fixing things, and you can't fix it if it isn't broken. It is therefore my opinion that this organization has been and will continue to be at risk of political agendas. I believe that our commissioners would like to reassume control of public transit and the funding that supports it. This is my opinion, but it is shared by others, and for good reason. According to a financial report recently released by Commissioner Tom Kress, Douglas County will have depleted its once enormous timber reserve fund within 2 years. At that point, at the current spending levels, we will be operating at a $16 million per year deficit, according to Tom Kress's numbers. Indeed, our county government is facing the same type of fiscal crisis that UPTD faced when I was appointed to the board. Let's consider some history. Ben went over some of it, but let me go over it again. Less than 1 year ago, UPTD was on the brink of insolvency. It had incurred nearly 50 non-compliance violations, many of which had been ignored despite numerous warnings. It had also incurred a $250,000 debt that it could not repay for electric vehicle chargers that it would never use and could never sell. Bankruptcy was inevitable, and the general manager, the ops manager, and 5 out of the 7 board members resigned. Michaela Hammerson, who had become the chair during this mass evacuation, did not give up on UPTD. she reached out to Ben Edel, a friend with business savvy, and asked him to look into the situation. Ben was contracted to do a complete assessment and to develop a pathway of resolution. While Ben got busy with his task, Michaela got busy recruiting new board members. She filled the empty slots with America First patriots who had previously worked together on a number of projects, including my own Republican primary campaign against the currently seated District 1 Senator David Brock Smith. Along with Michaela, three of the departing UPTD board members, Kathy Carreri, Jonna Still, and myself, had worked closely together on the Douglas County GOP Executive Board, a board from which Michaela, Kathy, and I were recalled at the behest of Douglas County's elected officials. There's a letter, if you ever get a chance to read it, you should. All because we vetted David Brock Smith and then attempted to primary him with my candidacy for a number of very good reasons. Once again, political agendas took precedence over that which is right. Primaries are a part of this process. There should never be anything wrong with running a good primary campaign against a seated senator. Director Lisa Lanza and Director Greg Kennerly are also friends and supporters of this group of patriots, and they completed this unified team. And it was a unified team. Our meetings were fun. We operated as a unit, and that's why it worked the way it did. Together, this replacement board hired Ben Edel as our interim CEO based on our belief and faith in Ben's assessment and in his proposed pathway of resolution. We did so under threat of legal action. As proposed, Ben made changes to the organizational structure, brought in some new key players. George is one of those, and so is Amiro, and developed an executive team who, along with a unified board of directors, turned UPTV around. Recently, we hired Ben Edel as a permanent versus interim CEO, and once again, we did so under threat. This group of committed public servants has achieved things that no one believed was possible. And we have been under attack every step of the way. Why? Why have our selfless efforts and our astounding accomplishments not been resoundingly applauded? Why did our local GOP, under the guidance of our Douglas County commissioners, go to so much effort to replace the current board by creating and endorsing a slate of candidates that included non-Republicans? Why? Why would you do that? Either way, we hand over an organization that is 100% compliant, whose funding is 100% secure. Our 25-26 budget reflects the huge benefits that result from competent leadership and good decision-making. We have an agreement with ODOT to repay the debt on the EV chargers in the form of installments. And we just gave our drivers, as we talked about tonight, a 5% cost of living raise, after which we are nearly $200,000 in the black for 25-26. Amazing. If the new board continues on the course that we have set, UPTD will grow and thrive. If not, you can rest assured that the political agendas of the power that be are once again taking precedence here in Douglas County. In closing, I would like to say, if a group of true public servants can turn UPTD around, then we can turn this failing county government around. And if we can turn the county around, we can turn the state around. But know this, we must have free and fair elections for this to happen. And currently, we do not. We do not have free and fair elections. We must work together to end vote by mail in Oregon. So I ask anybody who's listening to this, please support End VBM. Thank you. And what a pleasure it's been, you guys. Enjoyed every minute of it.
Thanks.
All right.
That was awesome. I loved the plug
Yeah.
for VBM.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's
I
part
always
of the
like,
public record.
yeah, and I always like when Todd Vaughn speaks because he's clear, concise, on point, and just boom. It's like, and here's a lot of things that should concern you. And if you're not
Well,
concerned, then you're part of the political apparatchik or whatever you want to call it
yeah.
that's trying to take away the voice of the citizens.
Yep.
Well, can you imagine if him and Ben Edel, and I go back to this, were sitting in the legislature this past legislative session, and you had someone with that mindset of what you just watched compared to the fat ball of squishy jello that we have now. Instead of having that, we had Todd Vaughn, a man who's willing to speak up against anybody who's unethical and doing things that go against what conservatives are supposed to believe in, what libertarians believe in. And it just ticks me off that we don't have those people sitting in office. But I am so thankful that Ben ran and that Todd ran, and I'm glad, Chris. I'm glad you ran.
I'm glad.
I mean, you know what I mean?
I'm glad Samantha ran because I knew
Yep.
Samantha was going. It was going to be an all uphill battle against like everybody and their pet dog in the Republican Party in Douglas County and on this board of commissioners and the county clerk were all against her running because oh my God, she might actually do something that is not going to, is going to upset their little tea cart. And they're so very happy with their tea cart the way it is now.
Yeah.
And it's like,
oh, according to them, I would have broken the law. What law?
Yeah.
The Secretary of State doesn't make laws. Sorry.
Yeah, well, and the thing is every time they say safe and secure, I'm like going, well, safe and secure perhaps for your political machine because you're pretty secure that you're safe in doing whatever you want to do with no repercussions because you can't get voted out. You look at all the bills they jam through and you're like going, this is not something, if you polled all Oregonians and said, is this what you voted for? Did you vote to like raise taxes and do like incremental taxes where now it's 15 cents per bottle that you get at the store, but 5% of it's not going for bottle returns? 5% is just going to be a new tax, but it's not a real tax because we wrote it in sort of like weasel terms that make sure it's not really a tax. And if you polled every Oregonian and you said, oh, do you want tampons in boys' bathrooms? Do you want the ability for men to compete in women's sports if they pretend they're not men anymore? Did you vote for that? Are you voting for higher taxes? Are you voting for a fire bill that's going to raise your insurance rate such that you can no longer be insured and you're going to have to leave your home of 4 or 5 generations because you can't afford insurance and you can't afford the taxes? Did you vote for this? No. Have you been voting for this for the last 10, 20 years? No, because vote by mail is inherently corrupt. There is absolutely no way to audit what they are doing to prove that they are doing the right thing. And if they keep blocking, and they've been blocking me every time I try to get data, they block me from getting it. And it's like, well, how transparent is that if I have to fight this hard to get data, and then when I get the data, it's so corrupted I can't do anything with it? That makes me feel like everything is so transparent and so safe and so secure. Not in the least. So there's my rant. Anybody else like to talk? Because I can go for a while. But
Did they really change the bottle deposit to 15 cents?
that's what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
That was
More
part of
money for the meth heads.
Yeah, you can almost make a living for that.
Yeah, and
They already do.
Page 85 of the 15-page bill was like, oh, and by the way, we're putting in toll roads up in Portland now, so enjoy that as well.
Jeez.
No, I forgot to bring the video on of Curtis Buell because I wanted you to respond to him doing Shakespeare in the Park. I was so disgusted by that. And I don't know. I'm almost tempted to go down there with a sign with his face on it and his sex registration. You know what I mean? That file that says what he's been registered for, and just see what happens. You know what I mean? This with pedophile on it, and it's. I'm so ticked off. Oh, and by the way, Marcia Jensen, I haven't heard from your attorney, Marcia. I'm still waiting to hear from your attorney. You were going to sue me. I forget for liable. I don't know what I was liable for, but she spelled libel wrong. It was funny. She's the college lady the lady who got voted to the college board. But Marcia,
Yeah.
I'm still waiting gladly to be able to defend myself in a court of law because the truth will prevail there, Marcia. So please have your attorney send me a letter. I'd love to defend this.
There's no way she would, because you'd have the opportunity to depose her and to get all sorts of information out of that. There is
Oh
no way
yeah.
she would sue you for that reason
The
alone.
Yep.
It would
the
open up
discovery.
Pandora's box. Yes,
Yeah, the
discovery.
discovery page, the discovery portion of that program would essentially just bury her, and she knows it. So it's an empty
100%.
threat. I mean,
You
when David Brock Smith went after Todd Vaughn because of the billboard that we had up that said David Brock Smith made in China, they threatened to sue Lamar Media. And Lamar Media goes, yeah, you know what? There's nothing wrong with this billboard. It's not defamatory. It doesn't violate anything, but it would cost us more to tell our attorneys to tell him to FO, than it would be. We only made like $1,500 on that billboard, so we're taking it down. And it's going to cost us more in legal fees to fight it, and we're not going to fight it. So sorry, we took your billboard down, but it's just because they lawfared us.
Yeah.
Chris, you ran against her, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So if you contested the election, your contestees would be your county clerk off of, I think it was number 6. And then it would be for illegal votes, it would be your candidate. So, and if you contest your election, the due date's Monday, but if you contest your election, it would make Marty's life a little bit easier in presenting the evidence in court. Just saying.
Well, but I have so much
Can I
evidence.
say something to that?
Sure.
I think it's wonderful that you and many other people are challenging these election laws. But if I was in Chris's spot, I personally wouldn't contest the election. I don't think it would bode well for moving forward. Even if I knew for a fact that I was cheated, because the courts are going to screw me the whole entire way, and all the way through the end, everyone's going to say, see, we called him a liar. We called him a liar. He's just making up stuff. He's crying wolf. And I know no matter how truthful you are and how much evidence you have, it's almost like you're just going to get bashed down in Oregon. So I wouldn't do it. I would put all my energy in a future campaign while simultaneously looking into any discretions that happened in any past elections. But that's
Yeah.
just my opinion on doing things. And it's just the way I work. But I don't have because I love people trying different strategies. So don't get me wrong.
yeah.
I think it's beautiful what you're doing. And I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole idea is a multi-phase plan of attack where, contest the election or, do the writ at the Supreme Court level in the state of Oregon, or do end vote by mail, or do, I'm working
Judicial
on
watch.
Judicial Watch is doing something.
Yes.
I'm working on doing, return to hand count stuff. And
Yeah.
we're working on all these things, and we're coming at them from so many directions.
Absolutely.
And they don't have the support that they used to have because the NGOs used to pump so much money into it. I was talking to Stan Avery the other day, and he was running for re-election, and just got eviscerated. And it was like, well, it was only going to be like 3,000-4,000 people that make a difference whether he got back on the school board or not. And it was like, so if the NGOs are like going, everybody must go out and vote for whoever his opponent was, they could have done that at that time. Now, not so much. You notice how when everybody was like torching Teslas, and when Elon said, I have proof of who's paying for this, all of a sudden it stopped. When there was riots in LA, and they came out and said, we have proof of paying for this, all of a sudden they stopped.
Well, you know what else stopped with that? Where are the subpoenas being served? Where are the warrants being processed? Because where's Bondi? You know what I mean? You say Elon has the receipts. Well, then somebody should be cashing in on that, right?
Well, at some point it's going to happen, but I think a lot of this information is being trickled out in such a fashion that a lot of people are going to be a lot harder to red pill than others. So you basically have to trickle out all this information a little bit at a time and give them the heads up and say, hey, we know the NGOs are paying for these riots. We know the NGOs are paying to torch Teslas. We know, this is happening. And give them a heads up and let them know that, they'll say, oh, that can't be right. And then eventually some people will get arrested, and then the media will start turning. And then, little by little, things will start to fall into place. And that's why I'm wearing this hat now, because the best is yet to come.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're absolutely.
And the whole point is that we're making incremental gains, and we're coming at them from multiple directions. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Rob was saying. Is like, I don't think Chris should contest the election because he has other elections he wants to run for. Now, he can still be a voice of, it's weird that this happened, and it's weird that we have somebody protecting a pedophile, at SWAC and so forth and so on. But the whole point is that we need to raise awareness. And we're starting to get to the point where some of the people that were sitting on the sidelines for so long are now starting to get reinvigorated and re-engaged. So, we're going to be doing NVBM events. We're going to be doing a return to hand counting events. We're going to be doing Dr. Frank events. We're going to be doing all these events, and we're getting more of a groundswell of people that are going, you know what? Especially since this last legislature in Oregon, where it's like, yeah, you're going to have to eat it for like $11 billion in new taxes because we can't get our house right. And it's like, you know what? We're getting really sick and tired of this. What can I do to help? And so we're going to find more people that want to help and more people that want to volunteer. So it's frustrating that it's not moving at a quicker pace, but be patient because, some of these battles are going to take a long time. These are marathons, not sprints, and sometimes it just takes longer than I care to consider.
Chris, you've got to decide what you're going to do. You know what I mean? There's a lot of inroads that you can take, different avenues. You're working with the Republicans, which is really pretty much at a stall right now, from what I can tell. Well, I know. Why don't you tell us what's going on with the Republicans? Anything?
Nothing. Michael Brainard is afraid to call a meeting because he'll either look like a complete ass or he'll lose every vote in the meeting, and he'll essentially lose the party. So it's like lose or lose, bigger. And that's why he doesn't want to have a meeting. So he canceled the June meeting, and we're going to have the one in July, which will hopefully bear some fruit because we need new leadership for the local Republican Party. We've got a sheriff's race coming up in the fall. Well, the campaigning starts in the fall. The election's next spring, and then the following November if no one wins in the spring. But you've got sheriff, clerk, and 2 commissioner seats. Those are countywide. So you're talking about the elections. The biggest bang for our buck in Coos County. Let's find a new clerk. Let's find a conservative clerk. And it shouldn't necessarily be a partisan position, but if you look at the 2 major party platforms and which one is focusing on true election integrity, and I mean true, like for all people, nonpartisan election integrity, it's the conservatives. So find somebody who supports that sort of a platform on election integrity, and you can call it whatever you want. You could call it conservative or patriotic or whatever, but somebody with integrity that we can all trust, and that's what we need. So who's going to do that? I think the thing that would make sense would be a conservative party like the Republican Party, and so I don't know. So that's what we need to do around here. the last election, our Republican Party with Michael Brainard at the helm did not endorse any candidates. They did not remotely put together any sort of organization or campaign around candidates that have conservative values. And look at the results, and the results would have been shitty anyway, but it certainly didn't help, right? Like not having any support. Like Phil Taylor, for example, like he was a new conservative person running for office, and what help did our party give him? None.
Right.
And it's like
they didn't even let him speak at the meeting, Chris. That was hilarious.
Right.
I mean,
he's the only conservative who got elected. He's the only contested conservative who won a race, and they didn't say like, "Hey, Phil, like, how'd you do that?" Or like, "Would you like to talk about your experience running for office for the first time?" Or something that would make sense.
Is he a PCP?
He's not. He's filled out the application though, but Michael Brainard is not allowing new PCP members. He's not allowing them to be appointed. Yeah. We have 48 out of 198 spots filled, and he will not allow any new PCPs to be appointed. I'm not even a PCP. I'm the vice chair, but I'm not a PCP. And I've asked since day one, can you appoint me as a PCP just so, with whatever happens with my position, I'm still at least part of the party. I'm still a PCP. I'm still a voting member, and they've refused. So
this is your party, Coos County.
Yeah, but the body can do it. The body can nominate and appoint people, but we have to have a majority to be able to do that. And at the last meeting, I made a motion to do that because I had 8 applications in my hand, and the motion failed because we didn't have a majority. Like, think about that. We did not have a majority in the Republican Party who wanted to add new members who were there, who showed up to the meeting and wanted to be a part of the party. And
we don't want to add more members to the Republican Party. And why is it that we can't get more members to the Republican Party?
I was going to say, isn't the whole purpose of being executive board, isn't the whole purpose to get more PCPs involved?
Yep. And then, so a couple weeks later, Danessa and I and Michael Brainard, he's sitting right next to me at the event in Bend, Oregon for the full Oregon State Republican Party. We're watching presentation after presentation about we're supposed to bring new people into the party. One presentation in particular was specifically about how to get, they wanted statewide 50 more PCPs in the next 6 months. They wanted statewide 50 new PCPs. I brought 8 to the June meeting, and I'm up to almost 20 now, just me alone, just by doing this, asking people.
Awesome.
Are you interested in? And they say yes. People are totally interested. They want to get involved. They want to make a difference. They want to be a part of something that matters. And I think the Conservative Party platform matters, and other people do too. But anyway, so out of the whole state, they just want 50, and here we are. 20, maybe 30. I think we could get 50 in Coos County.
I think we could get 50 in Coos County.
Oh yeah.
Well, we've done it before. We've nearly had all of them filled.
He's hearing the same presentation and he's clapping like a little puppet. And he doesn't want it. He won't allow it because he wants to vet people. He wants to pick the people so that he can have the little social club that he wants, even though he's the most non-social person you'd ever meet, most socially awkward person you'd ever meet. But that's what he wants. Because to him, this is what the Conservative Party in Coos County is. It's a club to him. Like, he has no pain points. He has nothing that bothers him on a daily basis. He's not at risk of losing his house because of increasing taxes. He's not worried about not having a job. He's not worried about his future. He's not worried about his children because he doesn't have any. When you look at him and talk to him and think, like, what are the things that are motivating him to be involved? It's just because it's a club and it's something that makes his identity that he was the chair of the Republican Party one day, like that's an identity for him.
It's the one we can't have that.
We need people who, right. We need people who are involved for the right reasons, who are there because they are solving very specific problems in their life with a very specific solution, which is the Conservative Party platform. And you're using that to get people elected to implement those solutions. Like, that's it. That's what we need. We don't
Right.
need people in there because it's a cool club and it's their
Yeah.
identity.
So what's very interesting is that you said he wants to vet the PCPs. Well, here's the problem with that, is that in nominations, you really don't get to do that. Douglas County used the county clerk to do that. In fact, the county clerk actually took only specific names of the people that they wanted vetted, and vetted meaning how long have you been a Republican, right? He went
Right.
back to his office at the courthouse in the middle of the night after they were closed. And how many times does he do this during an election? Oh, who knows? So anyways, he does that, and then he comes back and he says, well, I can't vet these guys or what have you. But here's the thing. What does it take to be an elected PCP?
Just your
3
name.
voters. Yeah, 3. Just a sign up on what is it, an SEL
105, 103.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah,
even
I think
need
it's a
that, though.
105.
If you get 3 people to write your name down, even
Yeah,
if you
there
didn't
you
fill
go.
out the
Yeah.
form,
That's right.
you're in.
Exactly.
That's right.
So
And
so what is this
I ran.
whole... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I
go
ran
ahead.
for PCP. I ran for PCP as a write-in, but the thing is I didn't know about the SEL 105 or whatever, and this is like the day before the election. You know, it was like the last day of the election. So I went to all my neighbors and said, "Hey, vote for me for PCP." You know, precinct 18. And they said, "You're only here half the year." And I'm going, "Well, we have 0 PCPs in 18 right now. So having at least a half of one has got to be better than nothing." And so they had a lot of people that said, "Yeah, okay, I'll write you in," or "I've already turned in my ballot. Sorry, I can't help you." But, and it was like, all I needed was 3. I got 2.
Oh, no.
And I'm like,
Jeez.
and I'm like,
Come on,
the problem
Marty.
is I don't think most people know my real name and how to spell my last name. So, they might have gone, my neighbor Marty, and they probably didn't
Well,
count
wait a
that
minute,
one,
Marty.
so.
Didn't you and your wife vote for you?
Yeah.
My wife's not
Well,
registered
apparently
in
that's
Oregon.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm Marty with
My-
1 Y, not 2 Ys.
Yeah, I'm Marty with an I. It's Marty with an I, and it has to have a little heart over
I
the
know,
I.
with a little heart
so,
over it, with a little tail that comes back around. Yeah,
Yeah.
RT.
No,
Yeah.
Marty,
and I don't even actually have a problem with like vetting, because like, okay, you come to the meeting, you say you want to be a PCP, stand up, let us ask you some questions. I have no
Yeah.
problem with that. I actually think that would be great, and we should like vet people to make sure they understand what they're getting involved with, make sure they understand the conservative platform, right? Like that sort of vetting is fine.
Okay.
But it's like Michael just wants to vet them. He just wants to pick people. He just wants to make his own decision whether he likes them and thinks that they would be, someone who would be on his side or not. And that's not vetting.
Being
And
biased.
here's the thing.
Right,
They
that's
have never
biased.
done that. They have never done that in this party ever. I mean, I can go back to the mid
For sure.
2000s with Anita Khan. And you could walk in there and say, "Anita, would you appoint me and my friends to be a PCP because we want to eat with you and your little doily makers?" And she'd go, "Yeah, that'd be great. We want you to
Right.
join us in our
Well,
doily makers."
Sure.
We've never had a problem. It's always been Golder.
I like merit-based
Jensen, all of them.
systems. So for me, I'd like to ask you some questions about your conservative values. I'm probably still going to vote for you anyway, but you know what I mean? Like sort of like a pseudo election. But
that's
but anybody should be able to walk in and try.
One of the
And
things
it
that
be
was
an open,
floated
transparent process.
Yeah.
I was in a board meeting over the weekend, and one of the things we floated was, here's the Republican Party platform for the state of Oregon, and here's a one-pager. Here's what we are shooting for, and just go down this list and read everything, and let us know if you agree or disagree, and if you disagree, why do you disagree with it? And then that would at least start a conversation where it's like, okay,
Right.
are you on the same page that we are on? And you don't have to be exactly on the same page. If you have a reasonable argument for why you don't agree with point 8 of whatever the platform is, then fine, we'll listen to that and we will discuss that. But if you're good with 7 out of the 8 points, then, cool, vetting enough. It's just asking questions and seeing if you're somebody that would actually be a good person to, have discussions with and get consensus with, and somebody that's working in the same direction, as opposed to, well, I don't know, am I going to get a lot of Tuttle tokens out of this, or how am I going to turn this into a money maker for me?
So do you think this Mike guy is involved? Like, because it almost sounds like the Douglas County, where they want to vet the PCPs and be biased against.
Let me put it to you. Hold on, Samantha. Let me put it to you this way.
Okay.
Michael is suckling at the teat of David Brock Smith. And that's the most disgusting visual you could ever have. But that's literally what's going on here. He's suckling at the teat. Oh, and maybe sometimes over at Rod Schilling too. Suckling at the teat of these people because they are ruling that young man. He's not doing anything on his own. He's getting it approved through a higher up. And I don't give a damn what anyone says. That's what I believe just by his sheer actions alone.
For sure.
There's no other way to
He's a well-placed sycophant. I mean, basically they put him at the head of that thing because he will do exactly what they say. He will do exactly
But
what
if only he heard what they said about him behind his back.
Right.
Oh,
if you only heard what Rod says about the guy when he's not in the same room.
And
he's like, he's not my problem. He's totally messed up and he's ruining the party and like this. He'll say all this stuff, but then when he's in the room with them, he votes with them. Michael looks at him every time there's like a controversial decision, and they're like, partners.
But this is how they shatter the Republican Party, you guys.
Yep.
This is exactly how they do it, and it's to get us to infight. It's to basically. I guarantee you that we had at least 2 or 3 individuals just come in to Douglas County and then just fracture. And then they're done. We don't even have an executive board. We don't. It is nullified completely. So
it's I think it's more subtle than that. It's just party nuance. It's party wanting to belong to part of the club. And when people are in power or in positions of power, positions of authority, people are attracted to that. And no matter how ugly of a person, no matter how evil or malevolent they are, they're still attracted to that because there's something wrong with their own character. It's a character flaw. They're drawn to it. And these type of people, they may be too stupid to realize how maniacal they're behaving. I don't want to give anyone credit for not being smart enough to know how bad they are, but they may be too stupid to realize how bad they are in the cog of the machine that has been created by a much smarter group of people who are sitting in Salem who run the state party. And it's the establishment, the people that have been there forever, and the people who have a lot of pull and a lot of power because they're senators who should have never been senators, or they're representatives who never should be representatives. And I think Chris is more able to speak on it now than ever before after just attending one meeting. I think you probably learned more at one of those meetings sitting there in 6 hours? They probably had you 6-7 hours
at the ORP.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was an all day thing. It was crazy.
I hate those.
But
you learn a lot.
It was like 7 a.m. till, I don't know, 4 or 5 p.m.
When I heard that Tampon Dave actually took over as chair, even though what's her name is the chair?
Connie.
Yeah.
Connie Welchel.
Why would you do that? So not only
we tried to have her not do it.
Not a PCP, why would she just hand him the chair position?
The number one priority of the Republican Party of Oregon is to get Republicans elected. Literally, it's in the bylaws. It's the first statement. It's the first sentence in the bylaws. It is the number one priority of the Republican Party of Oregon. And David Brock Smith endorsed Democrats, endorsed
Exactly.
Yeah.
an entire an entire slate of
Entire
Democrats
slate of
against
Democrats.
our own slate of Republican candidates. And that was brought up by myself and several other people that weekend. And I didn't bring it up directly to Connie, but I know people who brought it directly to her. And I know that she and David had a conversation about it. And apparently nothing mattered because he still, yeah, he chaired the meeting. He was the parliamentarian for the entire election process for electing our new vice chair of the Oregon Republican Party. So you have a guy who endorsed a slate of Democrats against a slate of Republicans in an election, and the state party brings him in to run their election.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a party which number one priority is to get Republicans elected. So, and I really like Connie. I really liked everything I've heard about her, everything I've talked to her about, and that one has really got me. Why she decided to allow that, I'm still like, it's one of those things. Like, do you let it go? Is this like an email sort of situation? Like what even comes of it? You know, is it in the past? And it's just crap. It's crap, and this is why we're in this problem. This is why our state's like this. This is why. Well, Rob, on your show on Monday, you talked about Connie because she wrote a letter, essentially defending the resolution that was passed when the people were dancing, the drag people were dancing. So I mean,
she's
it's just
apologetic. Yeah, she was apologizing for the who was the guy. Yeah,
the messaging coming out like that, like when you have a Republican senator who is high up in the Republican Party endorsing Democrats, what message does that send to the constituents? It sends the message of stay home. I don't care about the state, so you shouldn't either. Like, that's what it says. Like, why would you be part of a conservative party who does that? Except the way I'm involved, which is let's reinvent it. Let's get fresh blood in here, fresh leadership, and start over and make it the Republican Party that we want it to be. But do you know how much energy that takes? And insanity and problems, you know? It's like David Brock Smith and Michael Brainard and all the other people like them, they're nobodies. But in life, they get into these positions and it makes them a somebody. Oh my gosh, I'm chair of the Republican Party of Coos County, because their lives are so pathetic that actually makes them something. And it's like, I'm embarrassed to tell people I'm the vice chair of the Republican Party. It's an embarrassment. It really is. Like, it's not an achievement. So let's make it something that we should actually be proud of and get people in there who like deserve those roles. And like, let's get people who are somebodies without that title to come in, and then they come in and then they make it greater than themselves.
But
It's like, why are we not doing that?
I don't care who it is. I just want anyone else other than the people who are running it now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The people who are in that slate of, like I said, the DBS fan club there, and
there's so many good people out there that can do it.
And there's so many good.
We've had conversations. We've listed, like, there's tons of people. We could go off and name pretty much anybody, but there's
Jeff P. Jeff, look at his. Can you see his message there?
Y'all make me wonder if switching from non-affiliated was a good idea. And then
it doesn't matter what your party is.
Yeah, Jeff and Michaela came back and said switching from NAV is the only way to fix this. Bring your friends. So
that's true. Actually,
I agree with Michaela. And
get involved. Come to the meetings. Speak out.
Get involved. I mean, the only time your party affiliation makes any difference is when it's in a primary, and and they have a primary where you have to vote for somebody in your party, or you have somebody you want to vote for, so therefore you have to be in that party. But I mean, the whole point is that I was an NPP, which is the California equivalent of NAV, for 20 years. I moved to Oregon. I was a NAV, And then there was an election where I wanted to vote for somebody who happened to be a Republican, so I changed to Republican. And I've been pretty much a libertarian slash Republican, like, defend my shores, deliver my mail, get the hell out of my life kind of guy. Less government is better. Thank you very much. That
Right.
kind of thing. And
But
it's
everything
just,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah. Go ahead. No,
I'm just everything though we're encapsulating here and what we're talking about. Because this is just a small county, Coos County. There's not a lot of population here, and so there's people probably watching from around the state. Who knows, around the country? I know my mom's probably watching. Hi, Mom. Glad to have you.
Hi, Mom.
I'm Rob's mom.
We get our mothers to watch. It increases the
Hi,
ratings.
Rob's
It's
mom.
great. Hi, Rob's mom.
Hi, Rob's mom.
Yeah. So, but this
Hello,
is the
everybody
thing, though.
else's mom. My mom's not around
We need
anymore,
people
so,
to get involved. We need people to hear this message and to understand that the reason that the state is so screwed up is because that the one mechanism, the political party for the conservatives, for the libertarians, for the free-minded people, the one party that should be functioning as the sword to wage war against these sons of bitches, well, that's been dulled down by these motherfuckers, the establishment, because they're living off the dole that they get from the special interests, from the lobbyists, from the donations, people like you who give to the Republican Party thinking they're great. Well, you need to get involved with your local political party. You need to get involved with your Republican Party. I didn't get involved for 5 years, and 5 years it slowly went to shit. And this is what we're dealing with. So we need people out there who, if you're in Coos County, anywhere in the state, anywhere in America, go to your local party and make sure that it's not functioning the way we're describing, because there's no reason that you would see as many people that I've had on this show tell you the story that you're hearing tonight and not think that there is something wrong with the political party. And then you look at the state and the condition it's in and the way the legislator is voting and the decisions they've made. If you can't see that this is screwed up, then you're the problem. Get involved, because we're getting tired. We're really tired of doing this. It takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of energy, and we're just average citizens. I'm not a senator with a big political PAC. I don't get title tokens. Neither does Marty. But we got to start somewhere.
Money. And it's so very depressing at times, because I'm like going, I got involved not so much because I was politically motivated or oriented or anything, but somebody came up to me and said, we think there's something funky about the 2020 election here in Coos County, and so we're going to try to get the data, and we're trying to find somebody that can like process the votes and look through them. And I'm going, well, just so happens I can slice and dice data like nobody's business. So
you work your ass off, Marty. You're amazing. Seriously.
And then when I found out, then all the information I found and all the fights I fought, I was like going, okay, well, but maybe I'll make some ground. Maybe I'll make some progress. And maybe not, not as much as I would like, but what I would like more is more people getting involved. I mean, we're going to have the NVBM thing. We're going to be doing fairs. We're going to be doing, card tables at, McKay's or anything, trying to get more people involved, trying to get more people to volunteer, return to hand counting, NVBM, or sign up to be a Republican, or are you registered to vote? Just get more people involved, because it's kind of lonely out here when we're the only 4 people that are like howling at the moon going, we've been doing all this stuff and it doesn't seem to be making any difference.
Yeah.
Well, but there's a path, okay? And only a couple people can make a difference. So, like the last Republican Party meeting that I was talking about, that this vote failed just to add new members, was 6 to 8. 6 people wanted to add new members. 8 people said, hell no, we don't like new people. So if only 3 more PCPs showed up, that vote would have changed. Then we would have added the 8 people that I had brought, and everything thus forward would have changed, right? If they keep coming to those meetings, then you can keep winning votes. And some of these votes are as simple as like, hey, our website sucks. It's out of date. It doesn't show any of our faces. It doesn't show any of our events. It doesn't talk about any of our candidates or what we're doing. It doesn't have our meetings on there. We need a new website. We need a new webmaster. And that vote fails. Right. So it's like simple things like that. Or like, okay, we have this money in the budget. What should we do with it over the next couple months? Well, right now with Michael Brainard, what he does with it, he bought a $900 speaker system that, so when we have our meetings, he has a microphone and he can sound louder for $900. And then he bought over $1,000 to have a tent that's red, a canopy tent that's red, and it says Republicans. And those are like the things that, like, when you send money to the Republican Party, those are the things that it goes towards. And it's like, okay, like you have to go to events, you have to look like somewhat professional. Like there are, you want to sound loud in a microphone, but it's like some venues, if the Democrats booked the Coos Bay Library, they have all that there. It's free and it comes with the venue. So like if you're smart about it, you can get a venue that has that stuff where someone can donate it, like $900 to the election, to like someone's campaign this past election might have made a big difference. So if it's one thing or the other, let's maybe do without the microphone. I don't know, just those sorts of decisions, a couple of votes, like literally a couple people make all the difference in every one of these meetings when you have these little votes, these little discussions over like, what should we do? Like what should we print on a hat if we're going to have merchandise? It's like, well, if you got people there that aren't very like, I don't know, like stylistic or like savvy with like what's hip, you're going to have stupid looking hats that no one wants to buy. And if they do buy them, then we all look stupid because the hats look dumb, and it's like, so get people in there that like maybe kind of know what things should look like and would be like, representative of our values. I don't know, but
that goes back though to what you were saying about him treating this like his own personal club, his own little tree house. And he's got the microphone, he's got the tent, and you and I can sit there and look at a broke party and go, this is what you're spending your money on? Exactly. Yeah. I would have brought one from out of my garage and I don't give a damn what color it was. You know what I mean? Right. It's like we can get signs made pretty damn cheap. I mean, you made your own sign. There are ways of doing this without going into the party's pockets, but they have to, because they're not getting any money. No one will donate to them because they're incompetent. And after this last election, I don't see anyone handing over money to the party. I just don't see anyone have to be that stupid. And
by the way, the ORP is using WinRed. I just thought I would let you guys know.
What's that?
OMG. Yeah, OMG.
It's like the Republican version of Act Blue.
Act Blue. Thank you.
Yeah.
They've already been investigated and they've been found to use names to money launder. So let's say Pfizer donated, let's say $50 million to Tampon Dave. Well, Tampon Dave can use WinRed and use Chris's name or whoever donated to the Republican Party, right? He can use anybody's name and just split up those donations to make it look like Tampon Dave got all these donations from all these individual people per month. And instead of getting 50 grand from Pfizer, right? So,
and
with the ORP announced the other day that they're using WinRed, and I'm like, what? And I didn't know that they were using WinRed, and I actually put in the comment in the chat, like WinRed is just as corrupt as
Act Blue.
And there's all these faces like, huh? What are you talking about? And I said, yeah, they're fraudulent. And then this gal came out and she was like talking about, don't believe it, donate to ORP. And I was like, oh, is the ORP connected to WinRed? And one guy goes, I just made a profile and it said I was donating to WinRed, and should I be concerned? And I said, yeah. So
and they're getting other PACs. I've seen them get there's several other PACs that the state has that they're using to funnel to those type of squishy Republicans that we've been talking about. And Chris, you were talking about vetting the PCPs, and I was joking when I was talking about whatever I was saying. You know what I mean? I agree with you. I think there's nothing wrong with asking people questions, but
I'll be
Why
right
can't we
back. I'm
do that
gonna
with
take
our
off for a sec.
candidates? I'm sorry, what?
Bingo.
Okay.
He just said he's going to be right back.
Oh, cool. Why? My question was, why can't we do that with the candidates? Because that's what the party leadership told you, I think, that they didn't want us to vet the candidates, but they want to vet the PCPs. That's what throws me off. Is okay, if we're going to do one, it should be good for the other, right?
Yeah. And that was my
No,
problem with that.
they want to vet it. They want to have a little group of people that vets it, like a little subgroup, and that's what they do. I mean, like I was told they're preparing a commissioner for candidate, and I'm like, who's they? What do you mean they? Like, who's we? They? Like, what are these pronouns you're using? Because I thought I'm part of the executive committee. So when you say like we or they, isn't that me? Like, how am I not involved in this? It's just they have these little cliques, these little groups, and that's not transparent and open, because that's part of our conservative platform. It's total crap. And Phil asked, like, what are we doing for the 4th of July? Who knows? We don't get emails anymore. We don't communicate. We don't have executive meetings where we decide anything. It's the Michael Brainard show. I mean,
Come to
that's
Douglas County on the 4th.
Wow. This is, and I want everyone who's watching, this is what's happening in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And most people in those places, let's say a county, specifically like in Coos County, Douglas County, it's happening in Curry County as well, but not to this far extent. This is something that may be happening in your county. This may be something that's happening in another state in your county, because you don't know, you're not there, and you may be questioning once again, why are shitty Republicans winning? And this is exactly it. And Chris has laid out why people should join, even if, and I hate, that you brought up a good point, Chris. I hate telling people I'm registered Republican now. I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate looking at people and saying, oh yeah, I'm a registered Republican, and vote for this Republican, because every other Republican I told you to vote for turned out to be a dirtbag. I hate doing that in Oregon. That really
you can't
sucks.
invite them to these meetings. Like, what, you're gonna invite your friends to these meetings, and they're gonna be like, what the hell did you just invite me to? Is this a cult? Like, is this some weirdo, pagan worshiping? Like,
I went to a couple of Republican meetings in Coos Bay, and I was like going, oh my God, it's like a mausoleum in here. Nobody's talking about anything. They're not making any progress.
Doesn't make sense.
None of this makes sense. I mean, and they have some really nice stale cookies, but other than that, what in the hell am I here for?
But there are other counties in the state. So like when I go to these statewide meetings where all the counties have their executive teams come in and meet, there are other counties that have gotten over this, that have gotten past this, voted in new leadership, rejuvenated their party. They've got branding, they've got websites, they have events, they have energy, they have people, like people that when you meet, you're like, yes, you're like happy you met this person. You're like, thank you. My life has been brightened by meeting you. Instead, you go and meet these people that are involved with like Coos County or apparently Douglas County leadership, and they're just life sucking. They don't put life into you; they take it away. And
they're vampires.
Yeah,
They're
triple pole might help.
Dude.
They have they can't look in the mirror because they have no reflection. They're vampires.
Marty, you have no idea. When I walk into any kind of Republican meeting, for the party meeting, it's just, there's so much evil. Like the moment that I walk in, it's so draining. It's like, and every single one of those guys just hate me. And it's because and why do they hate me? It's because Tampon Dave told them to hate me. So that's why they don't have any other reason. When I got up there to talk right before my election, during my campaign, they were not going to allow me to speak. I have been a PCP for 6 years. 6 years. I worked at the headquarters building. I got the most signatures in the whole entire county for Kate Brown recall. And these MFs, excuse my language, but these guys guys would not allow me to speak up there because they weren't endorsing me, even though I was the only one that was a PCP. And so I pushed my way up there and I grabbed the mic and I spoke. And they were trying to get rid of me, but I spoke anyways, because guess what? This is a PCP meeting and I am a PCP.
PCP.
Right.
This is not an executive board meeting. You can't tell me that I can't speak at my own meeting. Okay. So I got up there and I spoke, and I had either or. I had one old lady go, hee hee, plugging her ears as I was talking. No joke. Okay.
How very mature.
But I know, right?
Mature.
And then I had some people in the back that I don't think they knew exactly who I was. But every time I talked election integrity, getting rid of the 35 days, getting, ID and voting at the precinct like the Constitution says. So some people were like in the back, like, oh yeah, yes,
Right.
I'm voting for her.
Right.
And all these executive board members are like, get her off, no.
She's gaining traction.
I
She's
know.
gonna get
Gaining traction.
followers.
People are listening to her.
They're gonna resonate.
I know, but the whole Republican platform is based on election integrity, and that's the mind-boggling.
Right.
I just cannot wrap my brain around.
That's
What
the
is
double
wrong?
speak. That's the double
Yeah.
speak. They'll get up and they'll talk all about it, but then they won't do anything to work on it. They won't work on it. They won't put any effort towards it. They won't look into anything that's a current issue. And it's just not election integrity. I've seen them do this on every issue. We were just talking about the gun bill that passed. You think the freaking Republican Party is going to put out one fucking penny to stop this bill from going into law? Do you think they're going to put their lawyers on it? No, I can guarantee it. And they're going to expect us to do it. And they'll blame us if we don't. And that's the sad fact. And people will buy into it again. And
we talked about civil disobedience. How many of them are going to carry a 17-round magazine and just not give a shit?
Yeah.
Because it's unconstitutional, because the law itself is unconstitutional. And you know what? They know it too. They all know it. In fact, a lot of them admit that it's unconstitutional. Therefore, it can't even exist. So I think one of
the saddest things for me was, I got up to speak one time, and basically crickets. I mean, a couple of people were doing, like you said, fingers in the ears or like shouting me down or whatever. And this was at a board of commissioners meeting or something like that. And then, I go outside and I'm having a smoke, and I had like a half dozen people come up to me and go, well, I really liked what you had to say. And I'm going, would have been nice if you got up and supported me while I was in the meeting. Don't just come talk to me in the parking lot surreptitiously and go, I really like what you had to say, but I can't say it out loud. And I'm like, why not? I mean, if you don't say it out loud, then why bother? But I mean, it's like, no, that makes me sad. I'm like, everybody's so afraid to just stand up for yourself, stand up for what you believe in.
Can I tell you guys something? During this same meeting that I just told you guys about, there was a guy that wanted a sign of mine. He showed up to my house. He was that trustworthy. I actually knew him via social media, True Social, actually, before actually seeing him at one of these Republican things. He's come to my house. He grabbed a sign. When I got there, he goes, oh, hi, Sam. He goes, shh, I don't know you. And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, I don't know who you are. And I was like, huh? And he goes, just go with it. And I'm like, like, what the heck? Seriously, you are such a coward that you don't want anybody knowing that you actually know, but you have my sign in your yard? Like, what is going on here? This is why I do not, and I apologize to all the males, but this is why I do not date, because this is a man that had zero balls. Zero. Why would you say that? Why would you say, oh, I don't know you? Just keep it on the down
Yeah.
low.
So for the record,
So-
Samantha does date. She just only dates men with balls.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
She's
there you
waiting.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I date. I just haven't in a long time. But that's okay. I
Yeah,
just haven't found
it's
a
going
man
to take
with
a
a
while
ball.
to. It's going to take a while to find some man with balls. That you know.
Yeah, you might find women
They-
with balls first,
Yeah,
especially
exactly.
around here.
I'm not looking for
Yeah.
those either. I'm just looking
Yeah.
for males with balls. But
Yeah.
sorry.
I'm sure there's some
Yeah.
young single guys out there with balls. I'm sure they exist. I know. I see the loggers are still out there. Those manly fishermen are still out there. There must be someone. You know what I mean? Must be someone.
My dad's
There's-
a
there's-
logger and a fisherman, and he's a man. So I mean, those.
Marty, did you move my screen?
I did.
Uh-oh.
A co-producer.
That was
You
freaky.
you had all the bubbles across the bottom, and we couldn't see the beautiful Dr. Frank posters. So
That is a
I love
beautiful.
him.
Yes.
yeah, but
Now there should almost be like a course that people go through of like how to support each other. Like seriously, like you were talking about like at meetings, right? Like if
Oh,
Marty's
yeah.
up there speaking or Rob's up there speaking at a meeting, like even just simply like giving that really good applause, or a
Yeah.
couple like shouts at the right moment, like can make all the difference, right? Like when you're up there talking, if it's silent behind you, you kind of start to trail. I mean, Rob probably is independent. He probably does what he does no matter what. But like me, if I'm up there and I'm not hearing anything and I occasionally turn and look at the audience and there's just like stone cold faces, I'm probably going to wrap up what I'm saying quicker and just kind of trail off. But if there's people that are like, yeah, yelling, clapping, having a good time
Yeah.
with what I'm saying, I'm going to have a different energy. And that can make all the difference in some of these meetings. I know it made a difference at that North Bend school board meeting Rob and I went to, the one with where we shut down their URA, which is probably going to get reversed, but
Probably come right back. Yeah. And that's
Samantha, does your name say Samantha?
I
think it does.
does.
Yeah.
Samantha. Oh, that's funny.
Did I do that?
Yeah.
Somebody did it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
REJ
Well,
is saying get onto the Western Liberty Network. Their website
There are
is a lot of
there are
resources.
resources.
And I'll have you know, I was the activist of the year in 2024, awarded to me from the Western Liberty Network. That was Richard Burke was the
Wow.
director. Yeah, wasn't
Hey,
it? I'm just dropping names here. Yes, the Don McIntyre Activist of the Year award. It was rather
that's
cool.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
What
it
is
was
the
a shock.
Western
I
Liberty
was almost
Network?
crying. I'm sorry,
And
what?
who the heck is Don McIntyre?
Chris, what did you say?
I was saying, what is the Western Liberty Network?
Western Liberty Network teaches people how to go out and canvass and how to call on phones, how to reach out and campaign. They got a couple of different courses. And in fact, I didn't get to go to the Liberty Network event that they have every year at the beginning of the year, but it's a really good event. I enjoy going to it. It's you see a lot of old friends, and it's the cool people. The great thing is, okay, like we had Senator Thatcher there, and when I was talking about, I accepted the award, and it was great because I got to throw DBS right under the bus. I told him, about how sacrificing a radio station, and Kim Thatcher was cheering for me. It was so great. She was cheering for me. I was telling the story, and I was like, "This is." It was like a dream come true. It was the coolest thing because the coolest of the cool
Nice.
people are there. I would say there was about 180 people, maybe 200 people, and
Do they have events?
yeah, Susan Gallagher. They do have events. They do training courses,
Huh.
and it's a lot of stuff going on. But I don't know. I get carried away. That's what happens when you give me awards. I start, bloating.
Oh, there you go.
That's
and
cool.
puking
I mean,
all
it
over
is-
myself. Blah,
it is
blah,
called-
blah. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
it
apologize.
is called Friday Night Rant, so the fact that it's your show and you're ranting is probably okay, I'm guessing.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So no, I mean it's great that you got an award, and it's and I heard of Western Liberty Network, and I didn't realize they were doing training classes on how to organize your base, how to get more people involved, because in technically, that's what the county Republican Party should be doing is organizing the base, getting people involved, getting people invigorated, and so forth and so on. And I'm like going, well, I hope we can do like an NVBM booth like next to the Republican booth at the Coos County Fair. But hey Chris, are you guys gonna have a booth at the fair this year? Are you doing a Fourth of
I think
July
they are, but
parade
I'm not involved in
anywhere?
any of it. And I know that Michael
Oh wow.
absolutely hates Ben Edel. He tried to not even have him come to one of our meetings. So there's that. I don't know if that's still a thing. I
Oh, I'm
think,
sure he's gonna
yeah.
absolutely love me then. So yeah.
What are
But
their
right, like we should be doing the NVBM thing. We should, even at the state level,
Yes.
it should
Yeah.
be a partnership. And
Well, I mean, and we've
it
been
is?
we've been sort of like with the NVBM stuff, we've been trying to be nonpartisan about it. I mean, we want to be next to the Republican booth, but we don't want to be in the Republican booth because we have a lot of people in NVBM that are Democrats, and there are Democrats that are doing the walk away movement, going, "We've had enough of this BS. We didn't sign up for this." We don't want to do tampons in boys' bathrooms. We don't want to ruin Title IX.
it is the most
We,
common conversation I have with liberals right now. They go, "Well,
yeah,
what am I?" Because they're like, "Because
yeah,
I'm not in favor of that stuff. I never have
yeah,
been. I don't think my party was, but they are now. So what am I?" And I'm like, "Well, you are a liberal. They're just something totally different, and they've
yeah,
bastardized the Democratic Party because you
Right.
used to be the party of the people, like real people, not fake
yeah. And
misgendered
now they're
people."
using and now
Like,
they're using you as pawns, and you should be really upset
yes,
about the fact that they're
yes,
using you as pawns to
yeah. No,
drive
that's
their
a
agenda that nobody wants. And it's like that's why, as far as the imaging for NVBM goes, it's like, no, we're not a Republican cause. We're not a Democrat cause. We are the cause of the people that want to get the control of the government back to us, the people. It's supposed to be the government of the people, by the people, for the people. And right now it's not even close. Not even close.
Well,
it's not a political party thing. It's a, do you want your freaking life back thing? Yeah, let's get on this.
it's the tyranny of the majority, the way they have resituated the Senate from being a county appointed position or a county elected position to a district elected position. That's part and parcel. They've diverted the actual what a republic should be, and we are not being represented in Salem by no stretch of the imagination. And when you look at the map, and even though it may not be the majority of the people, we live in the majority of the state. We're a huge swath of the state, and we should be respected somewhat. And when you have one, two counties, three counties controlling the entire state, it's just not right. And when they're pushing this unconstitutional stuff, you would hope the federal government would step in. I hope Donald Trump steps in with something, but you know what I
We
mean?
can't count on it
Hope in
though.
one
No, we
hand.
can't.
Yeah.
We can't count on that though. I mean, it's up to us to take it. We have to fight this. I mean, we're in a fifth generation warfare. We have to fight this war from the ground up. We can't hope that Donald Trump's going to come in with 3 bunker busters and take out Salem, which would
Right.
be, a nice idea,
It
but
would
not going
be.
to happen. Yeah,
Allen,
but
Portland,
it's
and
not going to
Eugene.
happen. Yeah, well, then Eugene and parts of Portland. I have friends in Portland that are pretty nice people. But the whole point is that if you look at how the map is gerrymandered, pretty much most of the districts have chunks of them that go into Portland. So it doesn't even, Eastern Oregon doesn't matter, South Oregon doesn't matter, Southwest Oregon doesn't matter, because every single piece of the district pie dips into the Portland or Corvallis or Salem metroplex, such that they can control a small chunk and basically determine what's going to happen for the rest of the state. Now, if they were doing it in a similar situation where it was like, okay, you get one senator per county, or you get, a couple of people from the House per county, but the way they cut up the districts is done in such a way that there's only one way it's going to turn out.
Yeah,
So,
only
Well,
one
if
way
they're
it's gonna turn out.
students, yeah, if they're students of history, they'll remember that time a couple hundred years ago when a tiny little island tried to control a big geographical area and tell them what to do and how to live their lives and what they could say and not say, and whether they can have guns or not. And it didn't work out well for them. But
yeah.
I don't know. Are we ready for that? and
Yeah.
and you're talking about the federal government saving us. I think we got to look at them like France, right? Like they might
Yeah.
help a little, but we're gonna have to do the fighting.
We're gonna have to
But,
do the
Well,
fighting. Yeah.
but we got to get organized
and
first.
yeah, we have
So
to get
come to the
organized and
Republican meeting, and we'll tell you when the Republican meeting is next.
And we'll take
if
a
they ever
barge.
have
month,
one.
if they have one, and we'll tell you, and you can go to this meeting and you'll get vetted. I don't know what that means. It might be something weird or sexual, but it's going to happen.
No.
It's okay. So you get vetted at the Republican meeting, and you too can become a PCP. What is a PCP? A precinct committee person. So I would recommend it. I mean, you need to get involved with the party, and we need to change the direction. And
Come because you're going to meet like-minded people who care about the same
Like-minded
things
people.
that you care about and know how to fight it the same way that you know how to fight it. And the more of us that come together in the same room can come up with better ideas to solve these problems than just
Right.
a couple of us ranting on a Friday night. So that's the goal. That's what we got to do.
But I do
I'm kinda
enjoy
hoping-
ranting with you guys on a Friday night.
Oh,
I'm
for
kinda
sure.
hoping the ranting on a Friday night is going to bring more adherence over to our side of the equation. So I'm like going,
Right.
the Friday night rants are great. I love it because
yeah.
we get to talk to cool people and we get have a lot of fun. So
No, not dissing the Friday night rant. I didn't mean it that way. I just meant.
Oh, I didn't think you were. No, not at
Okay.
all.
Okay. We
No,
got to
not
do
at
this,
all.
and
so, no.
And that's I
Friday night
totally
rant.
took it that way. Yeah.
And the other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
And
But,
if there's anybody in Douglas County listening, the Ruck Pack, Hilltop Patriots, General Assembly, they're much better than the Republican Party. The Republican Party, and I'm sorry about if you're in Coos County, you can join the Republican Party there, but in Douglas
Yeah.
County, it's no fun. It's just all evil. There's no executive board right now. They are nullified. Basically, they elected themselves into office, and they weren't even supposed to have that meeting because they didn't notify the PCPs. So join different little fringe groups, and we're gonna take. Well, we have plans, anyways. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, and yeah, so we have NVBM, we have Ruck Pack, we have Jurl, we have there's so many groups you can join to help with the cause. So yeah.
Yep. So
Michaela,
it's just
look,
not the
she's
Republican Party in
very
Douglas
cool.
County. Sorry. Oh yeah, Michaela.
Look at this. What a very nice message.
I love Michaela.
Yep.
Yeah, I always love it.
She's pretty
I always
cool.
love
I
it
got
when
to meet her in Bend.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Republican
love it
Party.
when Michaela and Steve chime in on a Friday, and then of course we got Reg, and we've got we got a whole host of people like Jeff and Oregon Outlaw and Phil Taylor and Chaim Solomon and all these people that are chiming in on the show, because you can see the show on YouTube and Rumble and X and Facebook. So join us. Give comments. We love comments because we can either agree with you or we can pick them apart and make that part of the fun of the show. So yeah.
Oh, remember
Be part
when
of the show.
Sal? Remember when Sal kept commenting?
Oh yeah,
That
that
was
was
ridiculous.
great.
That
Stupid.
was funny.
That was
God.
fun.
Well,
But you
I
don't
hear-
want to give him any attention. Yeah.
He's such a tard.
Yeah.
What was he saying? I forgot. He was calling,
Oh,
calling us names.
Oh,
wasn't
he was also saying that he and 1,000 of his closest, he and his Coos Bay army were the reason that Rob got thrown off the radio because he petitioned the radio station. I'm like going, yeah, listen up, bub. I owned a radio station. If I had 1,000 people send me emails that said I want Rob off the air, the first thing I would do is not take Rob off the air because I had 1,000 people that were interested in the show and were upset enough to send an email, which means he's got a lot of people listening to him. So,
Mhm.
I think
Oh,
I
that
would
was
his
ask. I
mom
would ask
needs to
for a
help
raise.
him.
What?
No,
when he,
I don't know. His
My
mom needs to
listen,
help him. He's
the
mentally deranged, like honestly, mentally ill person who
oh, he
needs
is.
help.
yeah, one
Yeah.
of the comments earlier was, the next election is going to be Sal versus Chris. Dun dun
But
dun
yeah, he said he's
dun.
considering running for office. Yeah.
seriously, like,
Oh,
is that being
wow.
I
serious?
can't. I can't
Who
They
imagine
knows?
you can even
they
I
run.
doubt
will
it.
they will elect him here in Coos County. That's how crazy
I
this county has
I'd
become.
vote for him just to watch it. I
Yeah.
would. He
Yeah.
has my vote. I would. That would be the downfall of the Democrat Party to have any involvement with him.
Oh, that would be true. We should encourage him to run. I didn't
I
It would
think
be
this,
great.
know.
Chris.
What a
I think we
perfect
should encourage
idea.
this.
He would be their mentally ill DEI candidate.
I'm going to
Yeah.
buy a sign for him. Sal
Yeah.
Carruthers for commissioner. I think it would be
Hey, there you
great.
go.
I am going
The
to buy
Democratic.
that signed, and I am going to campaign for you, Sal. I think you're
He
going to
can
do a good job for this county.
sit right next to his friend Drew Farmer. You know, Drew still claims that he never involved himself with Sal, that he has nothing to do. And it's like he asked Sal to
Yeah.
have his buddies comment against me on some stupid Facebook group to make me look bad. It's like you and I have the messages between him and Sal texting each other. It's like, come on, man. Whatever. Such a weirdo.
How did you
They're
get
so
that?
there's they accidentally posted it on a public chat group. They thought it was a private chat group and it was public,
Yeah.
and Sal posted his text message from Drew on the chat like a moron, and yeah, they didn't know that it was public. So
Before we guys go any further,
Oh,
I
I was going
forgot
to say
to
when we were at Shutter Creek and we ran
Yeah.
into Drew Farmer, I was like really surprised. It's like Drew Farmer came up to you and said, "Hey, how you doing?" And then he looked over at me, and I went to put my hand out to shake his hand, and he flinched, and I was like, "On, ooh, that's kind of weird." I mean, he knows I don't like him much, but I've never really, never really contested him or anything. Never gotten in his face, but he turned to me and he's like, "On, no, Jesus, Marty."
I
Like,
don't dislike Farmer. I just know his
neither do I.
type. And
Yeah.
and yeah, I don't I don't know.
Well, we
I
had
don't like
we
him because
had
he's
one.
a liar.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
well,
don't
yeah, I
like
he's
guess
got
liars.
that
he
going for
does
him, but
do
he's
that.
he's
But
he's
I
a
don't know. I
politician
don't
and he is a
dislike
liar.
him. I don't know. I
Yeah, I mean, he's a politician. He's a liar. We had him on a show. We talked to him for quite a bit, and I don't really have a problem with him other than the fact that I think there could probably be a better person in the commissioner's seat. But other than that,
well, no doubt there
Yeah.
could be a better person in the commissioner's seat, but there a lot of people lie, Chris, and if I hated everyone who lied or disliked everyone
There's
who
different
lied,
levels of lying.
well,
yeah,
that's
true.
true.
Like
That's true.
Rob, you're looking particularly handsome tonight.
Yeah, that's a good lie. See, and
Wow,
I
that's a
lie,
good lie.
but it's not that bad. I'm still a good person.
Yeah,
Rob, you are very
yeah.
handsome.
Thank
That's
you.
fine.
Thank you.
Mm-mm.
I
Marty,
appreciate
you don't
that.
you don't look as much like a deranged lunatic as you normally do. Oh, thank you.
Jesus, Marty, and Joseph. That's funny.
Jesus, Marty, and Joseph.
Oh, nice.
That sounds like something my grandfather would say when he was drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Margaret, Jesus, Marty, and Joseph. What's going on in here?
I think that's what Drew said when he turned and he saw Marty. He went, Jesus, Marty, and Joseph. It's Marty with two
Oh my God,
eyes.
it's that guy.
Oh shit. Wow, that's yes, I could see Drew doing that. He has that effect on people. Have you guys heard of 3H Tree Service? They're sponsors
I
of mine.
have.
Sal is asking people to boycott him.
Why?
And I think it's going to do wonders for 3H Tree Services business.
Why
I
now?
think they're going to go through the roof. I think they're going to get more service than ever before. And I would recommend, if you're a true patriot and you got some trees that need to be taken out with surgical precision, mind you, surgical precision. They come in, they take those trees out. They could be a liability. They got branches over the cars, over the houses, maybe over your children. Oh my, you don't want those branches over your children. Call 3H Tree Service. They can take care of that before a branch kills your kid. You don't want that happening. So thank goodness there's 3H Tree Service at 541-294-1800. That's 541-294-1800, 3H Tree Service. And they are licensed and bonded. Pretty good.
And you know, they have all 5 stars on Facebook. Like, how often do you see a business reviewed? And I think they have almost 100 reviews on Facebook, and it's all 5
Facebook.
stars. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Like,
That
I ran a
doesn't-
restaurant,
That does
like
not happen.
other business.
Yeah.
It doesn't know. All
No.
5 stars. It's not 4.9. It's 5. Like, that's crazy. That is some customer service.
That is some.
That's my
customer
pitch.
service.
I was not paid to say that.
But they do give out money. This is Jody. Jody got $50 when he found out where's 3H Tree Service, and of course,
Just not to me or Chris.
Thank you.
They give out money, but not to me or Chris. So
I know those guys.
Every
these
nice
are like-
thing we say about 3H Tree Services, not an endorsement because we're not getting paid. It is just an endorsement because we like what they do.
But Nancy here and her husband are huge election integrity people,
yes,
especially in Coos County. So I mean,
Oh,
they're
well,
supporting
yeah,
real people doing real things.
I gotta
I
throw
work with them all the
kudos
time.
out to Nancy, Nancy and her husband and Tom, and they are good. Tom and Nancy are good people, very good
Oh, yeah.
people, very kind people. They've had some rough times in their life, and I know that they sacrifice a lot by coming. They come to almost every damn event that we have. They come to almost every meeting. They show up. When we asked them to show up, they showed up at the Republican meeting where they said they hadn't been for quite a while, but they showed up just because Chris asked them, and they're good people. It's Nancy, Tom, if you're watching, thank you for everything you do. I couldn't thank you
I know.
anymore. You know, it's you've been a solid rock in this turbulent time, and yeah, they're very good people.
They even
yeah,
showed
they-
up to Douglas County for my case in the motion
Did they?
for the motion to dismiss. Yeah, they
That
showed
doesn't surprise me. They do that all the time. They'll show up at events in different places, and it's just so heartwarming to see people who would travel that far for something they believe in. And it's why part of the reason why I want to keep fighting for people just like this, because we are being torn down. We're being downtrodden, and we shouldn't be. This shouldn't be happening. It should be a much smoother experience living without the barriers of government tackling us on every level, and then having to fight basically our neighbor and our own party just to get any standing to have a say in our elections. It's just a sad thing. Oh, and by the way, I just hit 300 viewers, and I don't even know how.
cool. That's cool.
That's
You're-
pretty cool on a
you're
Friday
getting
night.
traction.
Yeah. Normally we don't do that well, but yeah, we're doing all right. And I want to thank everyone who's joining us tonight, because what we're saying is something that a lot of people are experiencing. And once again, thank you, Nancy, for all you do. Tom and Gigs. You guys got cars, don't you?
Not only can they fix your car, but they can get you a really cool RC car as well. Tom
And they just got a
Gigs,
shipment of planes, right?
I saw that.
Not drones,
Yes.
planes and helicopters
helicopters. Yeah.
with like gyro stabilizers and stuff. Is that them? No, those
No,
not
I'm
them.
trying to find them. Let me get the gyros. I can go back.
But yeah, they got
Yep.
more than cars now. There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
And they're like
There's your
micro, they're
planes.
tiny ones. They're manageable. They're not like the huge, gas powered hobby planes.
Oh,
They might
yeah.
have those too, but
I had the hardest time with gas powered, planes. It was just like, even,
Yeah, but they
even when I
sounded
was a
so
pilot.
cool. You know what I mean? Are you talking about the little planes or the big planes?
Oh no, I have.
These are like
'Cause
starter
you're
level
a
ones.
pilot. He's a pilot. I don't know what he's talking about.
No. I was talking about the little bitty planes where you had like the single cylinder engine that went me, and then you had to like fly it around RC, and it
Like
would
a
be like
4 or 5 foot wingspan.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then they
There
have
you
the
go.
hero copter.
100. What's the
Hmm.
price tag? I can't see it. But I think they're just a couple $100.
110.
I don't know. It's really
I
good
can't read it.
quality stuff they have there. I've seen this
Yeah.
stuff. Because they'll take apart cars right there if there's problems with them. They'll take apart your real car, your real automotive car. You could drive
Yeah.
into the shop and they'll do a whatever you need done to tune up alignment. They can get you shock struts, do your mufflers, but they also do the little stuff. And this hero copter is.
I want a police chopper.
I want a
I could
police
use
chopper.
that for bum camps. Fly that
Oh,
in,
there you
scare the crap
go.
out of them.
Yeah,
Put some
we
lights
could
on it.
mount like a little
Oh,
camera on
they would
that
love
thing.
that.
I
Yeah,
could see
we
them
could
all
mount.
on drugs and they'd be looking at it. It's really far away, but it's coming in,
Wow.
man.
It
It's like
sounds like
10 feet away from
it
them.
looks
Oh,
like a police
wow.
helicopter, but
See
it's
if we
like
can run.
I don't think we can fit in that one.
So, yeah, I was at a rave once, and a buddy of mine who was a really big guy, we were all in the rave, in the middle of the desert, and the helicopters came in, the police helicopters with the spotlights. And I look over where the spotlight was shining, and there's my buddy, his big dude, mooning the police helicopter. It was the funniest thing. He just full bare ass right there. Hello, police. Come on in. And it was, sorry. I shouldn't tell you about those rave days.
Nothing says ruined rave like police helicopter right up your mooned butt, but okay.
Right up your moon butt. But speaking of right up your moon butt, I still don't know. Oh yeah, there you go. Tannerite for the
fourth.
There you go. And I don't even know if it's even legal for me to advertise this. I'm not sure. I don't know if this is considered explosive. Is this considered? I don't know. But Tannerite.
Well, everything's explosive, so
I know.
Does it explode or does it just flash? Isn't it for targets? I mean, like
I think if you
supposed
load a bunch
use of it.
Yeah, I think if you load.
Well, I think it is for targets because I have targets that have Tannerite specifically for Tannerite.
Yeah.
So when yes, it is for targets. That's what its original purpose was. But now they use it for other things like gophers and stuff like that. And you have to be 18 years or older to buy this. Oh, I'm sorry, Sam. You're not going to be able to purchase any Tannerite for the phone.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That was so nice.
Oh my God, we've been talking with an underage girl this whole show. This is going to be one of those things where you see on late night TV where it's like, and then we busted him for talking to an underage girl.
Getting me in trouble again.
Herbal Choices.
Again.
Herbal Choices. They have 5 locations. And you must be over 21 to buy marijuana. But if you're only 5 years old, we can do your sex change operation for no charge.
Yep.
So, or give you an abortion. And we won't tell your parents. But don't go buy any pot to forget about it because we wouldn't want that to happen. So, Chris, as a libertarian, I see there's 2 different ages for explosives and for a 21-year-old. I think it's crazy. We should have, I think if you're able to smoke pot, you should be able to, or if you're able to use Tannerite, you should be able to smoke pot. I don't know, just a thought. And I think we should either make it all 21 or all 18, but we should make a freaking decision and do it. Where are you as far as a libertarian? And do you even think there should be age limits?
If it was my world and I was setting all the rules, I'm far more libertarian than most. I would say no age limits whatsoever. You're a parent, you're in control of your kids, and if they're a child, then they have to come to you to make decisions like that, and that's your decision as a parent. And then when they're no longer your child because they've reached the age that you've determined that they're mature enough to go and make their own decisions, they can make their own decisions. That's personally, does that work in our society? Probably not. There has to be age limits for stuff, but in a utopian world, no age limits for firearms, for drugs, alcohol, any of it. Like, parents, you need to be in control of your kids until the age when they're able to make decisions. But we don't live in
Yeah,
that
and
world.
I'm
So.
no, and I'm fully on board with that one as well. I'm like going, if the children had a set of parents that were giving them fundamental information on how to live life and how to make good decisions and all that good stuff, then I'm like going, whatever age your parent thinks it's okay, then go. But we have so many people that are not taking care of their kids. I've lived in Oakland. I lived in Oakland for too long, and you just see the situations where it's like these kids are not going to turn out well at all.
No.
But yeah, but pick an age. And it's like, okay, I'm like going, whenever your parents say it's okay. I mean, my parents were like, okay, you know, go make me a martini, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And I was 8, so
Well, things are okay until they're not. Like, cannabis is fine until it's affecting your job and your relationships and things like that.
yeah,
Then, hello, you've got a problem, and you should probably figure it out. But age, there are probably 60-year-old people that have an issue with that, where it starts affecting their life.
Oh,
So
I gotta
the
hear
age doesn't
Samantha.
matter.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Chris, on this, but I want to hear Samantha's thoughts on that.
So I know that you mentioned earlier, Rob, that we were going to go over the Supreme Court cases that were decided, and one of those Supreme Court cases focused on age limits of children or the age restrictions for pornographic material, and
Oh, you are
yes.
good.
Yeah.
wow,
So it was the Free Speech Coalition versus Paxton. So Paxton restricted any kind of pornographic material for any children below 18, like in environments such as schools, right?
Yeah.
Shielding children from sexual content and material. So that actually was decided on today. And it was decided that, yes, there should be age restrictions on pornographic material in schools. And the second point to the whole marijuana thing, I did a study in college with marijuana on the brain, and it like anything that gives euphoria, it actually restricts a child's ability to actually get more educated, anyways, take in more information, and it gives them health issues just because they're growing and just because they're at an adolescent age. As an adult, I don't think it would affect anyone really all that much. Marijuana, I was completely against marijuana at first because I was law enforcement and all this stuff. But now that I've had time to study it and look at it and compare it to chemicals, I have opened up my mind so much, broader. Um, in fact, my mother had cancer, and I was trying to get her to do the whole marijuana thing rather than the cancer chemical crap. She wouldn't do it, but but see, for me, that goes a long way. But at an adolescent or at a minor's age, I would not recommend, you know, doing the euphoria thing at childhood. But that's just me, in my opinion, and that's why that we have a republic, and everybody can have their opinions. But
No, I agree with you, and I think that there's a reason that for what Chris said in today's society, when nobody takes responsibility, nobody is being respectful at all. I mean, you have to have some kind of standards to allow people this type of liberty. And if we lived in a more perfect world, yeah, I would totally
yeah,
agree with Chris. We wouldn't need age limits, but in the real world, we do need them. And so I guess my next question is I see no problem at limiting all of this at 18 and I don't like waiting until 21 for the very fact that if we can send a kid to fight in a foreign country at
Yeah.
18,
Bingo.
then we should be, and they can sit on a jury at 18. They should be able to smoke cannabis, drink booze, and all the other things that the people of majority should be able to do. And I think it's wrong that we are discriminating against either the 18-year-olds, or it all should be put up at 21. One or the other, because it seems like we're just discriminating against a certain group of people.
True.
Yep.
But we only
Got
send
no
the
argument.
men to battle because of
Well-
quality.
Back then. Now women go.
Well, no, they can voluntarily go, but
Voluntarily
they're not part of the draft.
Right.
It's elective service.
That's right. We are not.
No.
Yeah.
And there's a reason
Yeah.
for that, because when we actually need to fight a war, they need men, not women. They'll need you on the back end for the all the stuff that happened to the poor men on the
But I thought the liberals talked about
For
equality. How come the liberals didn't make that happen for equality?
Don't try and make sense. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There
Just-
you
No.
I
there
mean,
you
how
go,
many
applying-
presidencies went by and they still didn't change it? Like, but they
Yeah.
wanted
There you
equality,
go.
right?
There you go, applying logic to liberals. Never do that. It will drive you insane. But one of the pilots for the B-2s that did the bunker busters in Iran was a woman, because somebody got all up in the face of Hegseth going, it's like, I'm so proud of the job the boys did. And it's like, well, one of the pilots was a woman. And I'm like going, so you're
That's
doxing
cool.
the B-2 crew. No, I was pissed off because I was like, oh, you're doxing the B-2 crew. There's only so many people that fly B-2s. And the fact that there's like one woman that flies B-2s, now you've basically outed her. And so now these people that are pissed off that they got bunker busted are going to go after her. That's a really horrible thing to say. You know,
Oh,
and
you
so they're-
thought Hegseth was wrong in saying that?
No. Hegseth was like going, you know, I'm so proud of the boys that flew, you know, the 36-hour mission from Kansas City to Iran and and did the bunker buster thing. And then some reporter went after Hegseth and said, well, how dare you say the boys, because one of the pilots was a woman.
Oh, I didn't know
And-
that was the reason that that he was all yelling at him and stuff. I remember watching the video, but I must have skipped out at the part where they were talking about she was one of so many that they just doxed. I didn't get to that part, I guess.
Yeah, no, there was only six. There was 3 planes, 6 pilots, or 6 planes and 12 pilots. But there aren't that many pilots that are women that fly B-2s. And so this person, by saying, oh, there was a woman on this mission, basically just outed, this woman as, somebody that just bombed Iran. Well, how dangerous is that?
Yeah.
You just outed somebody. I mean, it's like when, I forget, was it Biden or Obama that Biden was, gave up the SEAL Team 6 members, and then most of them got taken out.
No, that was Hussein, Obama.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
So support herbal choices and
So
women in the
support
military.
herbal choices, and they've got 5 stores.
It's been the weirdest
Go ahead.
commercial ever.
Back to the commercial in progress. Herbal Choices has 5 stores: Charleston, Coos Bay, Bandon, North Bend, and Reedsport. And, every time I drive by the one in Bandon, I'm like going, contact high, because it comes all the way out onto 101. I'm like, oh, man,
Really?
They've got some good stuff. Ooh,
They do
yeah,
got
they
some good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. You get to smell the little baggies. They'll let you smell the little baggies and get to decide
Yeah,
which little morsel you get to have. The thing is that they're a good store and a good place to go. And you've got 5 locations. Did we cover the 5 locations? And by the way,
did.
talking about this commercial and how, I keep leaving it on the air when we talk, we made that mistake many, many times ago. And I just keep doing it this way because I think it's a better way to actually advertise the business, because we just keep talking and chatting as the business is still up there. And
I know.
And it's kind of like what you just said, Marty. How did you put that? While a commercial is in progress,
Yeah.
what did you say?
Meanwhile, back to the commercial in progress.
This is the best advertisement ever. People are going, wow, where is this store? We got to go there.
Yeah.
So you can go to 5 different places. You can go to Charleston, you can go to Coos Bay, you can go to Bandon, Reedsport, or North Bend. And I got to give a shout out to you guys at Bandon. They have a really good crew there. Not that I would know. And of course, more serious business, Oregon Firearms Federation. If you're not blowing all that money on, the Herbal Choices thing, I would recommend you send it over to
If
Oregon.
you're not blowing all your money on Tannerite or Herbal Choices.
And not together. You don't combine the Tannerite and the THC. Those are two separate things for separate activities. Always remember that. Safety first. See, we can enjoy drinking and smoking and doing whatever we do right now, Friday, because we're all at home, we're all safe, and none of us are going anywhere. And that's the way everyone should conduct their Friday night rants. I don't know.
Yeah, but Oregon's Firearm Federation, if you can give them donations, because oh my God, the lawsuits are going to be going through the roof now that the Oregon legislature has once again said, well, we don't believe in the Second Amendment, so you can't have more than 10 bullets in a magazine. And so, therefore, more lawsuits are going to be going on. So, if you can support the Oregon Firearms Federation, that's a good idea. No compromise. OFF, Oregon Firearms Federation. OregonFirearms.org. Give them some money. Help them out.
And they send you a thank you letter every time.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really concerned. The morale is just bad for the gun owners. And luckily, though, I forget which bill it was that would have closed down all the FFLs, all the license holders, all the gun dealers. It would have literally have closed down their shops. And that was luckily saved. That, I don't know, maybe that was part of the deal they were making. But like Ben said, they have nothing to deal with, so who knows? But it's very demoralizing. So hopefully we can get some momentum. It's so hard in Oregon. Yeah, it's hard when your state sucks. Can that be a tourist campaign? Come to Oregon, our state sucks.
Well, if we weren't spending so much time at Herbal Choices, maybe we could get organized.
Hey now.
Just kidding. Sorry.
Hey, I deal with politicians.
Had to go for the easy joke. I'm sorry.
Yes. That was freaking hilarious. OregonFirearms.org. Hey, I recommend it highly. Very good group. Let's see. We can go through these quickly because I don't want to embarrass these folks. They're not my sponsors, but they're good people. This is Bandon Gun Club. You can find out more at bandongunclub.org for their pistol range or their 5-stand trap shoot. It's a good place to get your skills honed in. Let's see, the Tioga Sports Park Association. They're the ones in charge of the Tioga Sports Park. You can find out more about their shooting range at tiogasportspark.org. And I think we all know about this group. Do you know about this group, Samantha?
I don't think I'm on it. Or can I? Can I be on that?
I don't know. I think you can. I don't think you have to be a member.
It's on Facebook, and it's a private group, but they might allow you to join. I'm not sure.
It's got 7.4K members already. Wow.
Yeah, it's an impressive group, and I'm just it's really cool. They go off this cool website. It's called Clues Most Wanted, and it's a really good site to find out criminals and where these people are. And you can go to Coos County Neighborhood Watch, and like I said a couple weeks ago, they find criminals sometimes in live time. Chris, you've had some experiences like that, haven't you? Gotten some porch pirates? Was that you that got that pirate?
That wasn't me. That was Perry. But yeah, you I mean, sometimes people post stuff there like, hey, like a business owner, like, hey, this person smashed our window, and they post a picture of them, and like within seconds, people identify them before the cops do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Or they'll catch them. Some of them, yeah, like in like literally real time. Like, hey, here's somebody scoping out my house. I'm not there right now, but here's a video of them walking around my house, and it gets handled. So
Have you guys noticed all of your, and I say your because there's a lot of pedophiles in Coos County, and I've noticed this, and it's the who's catching them? Is it the FBI? Or I don't know who, but
All of the above. You look, all of the above at every damn level. And then if they're not catching them, they're releasing them, and they're getting what they called rehabilitated, and then they get put back into the classroom to re-offend. Yeah, it's a beautiful system we have here.
well, I just noticed a lot of like on the scanners, the Southern Oregon scanner or something. It comes across in like Bandon and Coos Bay and like all along the coast, all these pedophiles. There was one that was like, he got like 80 some odd years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just today I saw that, I think.
Oh, that was today? No, I know that's not even. I know one that got 80. It was almost that length just a couple of months ago, and it was
Really?
yeah, and I can't remember what he did because once again, there are so many in our county. It's absolutely bizarre, and I
bad.
guess maybe it's that evil, and I'm not even a believer in that evil comes in. You start to think, wow, maybe the Christians got it right, because you start looking at this and you think there is a sickness here. There is something here that's just not right. And then you've got people supporting these people. That's even sicker. You've got parents
That's even worse.
who are taking their children to known registered sex offenders to get taught in gym, in class. It's just ridiculous. And then they defend their decisions. Oh, well, they're rehabilitated. They're not going to hurt my kid. Yeah, F you. I don't want any registered sex offender. I don't care what degree it is. I don't want it. I don't want them near my kid. And I'm going to fight for that. And I think everyone should fight for that. And that's why I'm glad there's a Coos County Watch.
And that is, and that is one thing that Oregon leads in. Oregon actually leads the country in registered sex offenders per capita, whereas we're like the 50th in the country for education. We are number one in the country for registered sex offenders. And the weird thing is they've lowered the standards for who has to register. So even with the lower standards, we're still number one in the USA. We're number one. Yeah. So yay
Chris,
for us.
Talking about the legislation and coming down to this final part of the show with this Coos County Neighborhood Watch, the legislators had a bill where if you bothered any person sleeping, just like the lady that you were talking to in the tent, if you bothered anyone or harassed, and that's what they're calling harassment, you can now be sued by those people. And that was a law they were trying to get out of the legislature, and I haven't found the number to look it up, and I will soon, because I'm going to talk about a lot of this on the Monday show. But I don't know if you heard about that or not.
I have not, but wouldn't change what I do.
Yeah.
It's a $1,000 fine to annoy, harass, or whatever a homeless person. And I'm like, no, just quit pooping on my sidewalk and get out of here.
They told me it was a $10,000 a day fine if I didn't make my customers and employees wear a mask, and that didn't stop me. So
yeah,
cool.
It's I've been through it.
That is good.
And I've heard about this Coos County Citizen Council. Don't they have a podcast like once a week or something?
Oh yeah, that's the one.
I like them guys.
You didn't have one for 2 weeks. You didn't.
I didn't. I got my ass kicked by some sort of COVID flu cold thing, man. Holy smokes! I'm still like very low energy. I tried to do yard work on Monday, and then it was like I came back too quick, and I went for a run today, and I wear a heart rate monitor,
Mhm.
and I do the same loop, and I always track it. My heart rate was 8% higher than it was 2 weeks ago. Like, and 8% is a lot if you're, into tracking your heart rate. It's a whole different, like, aerobic versus anaerobic. That's different.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
200,
anyways,
220 BPM minus your current, minus your age times 2 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I should have had a heart attack like 3 miles ago. But anyway.
well, I'm getting back into it. We'll be on the air on Wednesday. Yeah, every
You'll be on
Wednesday
the
at
air on
6
Wednesday?
p.m. Yep.
Cool. That's very cool. And ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everyone who joined me tonight. I didn't know who was going to be on the show, and it turned out to be a really kick-ass show. I've had a good time, but then I have been drinking pot soda, so I'm not sure
When you
if
watch
it's real or not.
Once again, a fine ad for Herbal Choices.
Herbal Choices.
If you'd like some pot choices, we have the so good pot soda.
Well, it's better to be able to drink it and not smoke it, because that's really bad for the lungs. And I've got bad lungs as it is. And it's better than alcohol. You know what I mean? It's, the tequila, the whiskey. Yeah, not good stuff.
What?
Oh, look, a kitty.
Oh, wait. Chris and Samantha are now having, like, show your cat to the camera.
Stuart decided to jump up on my lap.
He's so cute. What's his name?
Wow.
Stuart.
Aw. So, such a cute kitty.
Is that your cat, Chris?
One of them.
One of
we Perry and I found a cat in a bum camp without a tail, and we brought this thing home, and now it has kittens. So it has like 5. Now we have 6 from that one. Oh gosh.
Wow.
But
that's
what I get for bringing one of them into my house. Damn bum cats.
Well, we've been looking to foster some cats. So if you want some cats that need to be humanized or adjusted to people,
I don't want more
let
cats.
me know.
I want less cats.
I'm saying
you want
if
cats.
You want, yeah, I say that what we used to do is we used to foster cats. So somebody would have a bunch of feral cats, and they're like going, we have too many cats. We need to get these cats like normalized to humans so that we can put them in adoption things. So that's what we used to do. We used to foster cats. I used to be a feral cat person in Oakland, California. I picked up feral cats.
Cool.
And I took care of them.
Wait, Marty, when you say that sentence, I was a feral.
I used to be a feral cat person.
Wow,
I was a feral
That's
cat
amazing.
person.
What kind of costume did you wear?
Dude, you guys, there are people that actually.
I am feral cat man. Meow, meow, meow.
He's a furry. He's a okay. I hope your 300 viewers have skipped this part.
Wow. Yes, I hope they skipped this part.
But anyway.
Wow. Maybe we
Now, we had
shouldn't drink and smoke on Fridays. I don't know, but we'll toss it up.
That's half but yeah.
Well, before I get you guys out of here, is anything, Chris, you got anything you want to tell people?
Oh, I've said too much. I still notice that Samantha's name says Samantha, so I'll remember that forever. Samantha.
Hey, you weren't even drinking, were you, Samantha?
It's Samantha, actually.
That's why I like my name. It only has 3 letters, and
can't mess
I
it
don't
up.
even know how that got on there, so I don't even.
And she's the sober one. Wow.
Yeah. I'd blame the cat. The cat was on the keyboard. That's why it's Samantha.
That's a real thing, you guys. I have to, like, every time I get into my computer, something's wrong with it because one of my cats laid on it. So
there you go.
That's a real thing. But yeah. Oh my gosh. So thank you guys for the good laugh.
Before we go, remind everyone of this event, Samantha, please.
Yes, this is going to be Dr. Frank, and it's going to be from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. It's at the Kalapuya Community Clubhouse, which is If you go to 141 Scott Henry Road, you'll see a church on the right, and just go past the church, and it's in that little clubhouse building. I'm going to have vote by mail people there. I think Jonkus, Ben, and Michaela are all going to be there. Scott Kesterson is going to come. He's going to introduce
that one. You can't. That one you can't say.
Oh,
the Scott thing. I was given. I posted a bunch of stuff on X, and I had two people. I had Nettie and somebody else go. Yeah, Scott's not confirmed yet as far as Nettie and Dr. Frank. So
okay,
we can't talk about that one, but we can talk about the fact that this Saturday, at July 5th, from 11 to 3, he is going to be at the. You got to pronounce that one for me.
Okay. Kalapuya. It's native. It's Kalapuya. There were the Kalapuya Native Americans that live in this area. Yeah.
Because I thought they were sending us out to Hawaii for that one. But anyway,
Oh.
if you haven't seen Dr. Frank talk, this is your great opportunity to do it, because he's very good and he knows exactly what he's talking about. And he's done it in Coos County twice. And he has election data, and he can show you down to the nth degree for your county why your election data looks funky. And he went up against a professor of statistics from Stanford who he basically beat down in the Coos County commissioner meeting. So, if you have the opportunity to see the guy, go see the guy. It's this Saturday in Oakland, Oregon, not California, Oregon.
Yes.
So,
and he talks about election data, like basically what he does is he pulls out data from the census algorithm from the machines itself, and analyzes your own county. So he will analyze Douglas County, and if you ask him nicely, he'll probably pull Coos County too. So.
Well, I have pretty much all the Coos County data I will ever be able to ingest. So
cool.
I'm good with Coos County.
Okay.
Dr. Frank and I talk quite a bit. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Well, Marty, do you have anything you'd like to say before you get out of here?
Well, I'm just so happy that McDonald's employee. Let's see. Can I put this up here? I try to put it up on the stage. It's
you have to remove Dr. Frank. Let's remove him.
So, and then I said, put this on stage.
Hey, looky there.
So, former McDonald's employee saves the free world from Iranian nuclear threat. That's all I have to say tonight.
Huh.
Well, I can't see it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just black for me.
Oh, really? Well, that's unfortunate.
Really?
Yeah, it's just black.
Yep.
I don't know why.
That is odd. I can see it.
Yeah, so essentially it was a picture of Trump leaning out the window of a McDonald's, when he did that shift at a McDonald's, and he was like, handing out, orders to people through the drive-through window. So it showed a picture of Trump waving out the window, and I'm like going, ooh, look at that. Former McDonald's employee saves the free world from Iranian nuclear threat.
Cool.
Now you can see it?
Yep, now I can see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was really bugging me. It was like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, so essentially I think you have to post it from your side. I can add it to the queue, but you have to post it.
Wow, what a delicate dance. Yeah. All righty, folks. I've enjoyed this to death, but I really got to go to the bathroom again. I don't know what to tell you.
And we've been on here for almost 4 hours, right?
4 hours. I give you guys testament to your stamina. It's incredible.
3 hours and 46 minutes and 308 people currently online. So
awesome.
We are doing great.
We're doing good. We're doing all right.
Yeah, normally we get to about the 2.5 hour mark and we're like and that's as much as my bladder can take. Thank you. Good night.
So thank you guys for having me on.
Nice seeing you again, Samantha.
Nice Nice seeing you too. Get a hold
Nice
of
seeing
me.
you all.
Okay, we'll talk about cases. All right.
All right.
Bye, you guys.
Talk
See
to
you
you all
guys.
later. All
Talk
right,
to you
take care.